10:01, good morning from the Circus Sports of the Mint, Kentucky Downs, 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Big news for Tennessee football on Wednesday as five-star running back David Gabriel George from Baylor School in Chattanooga pledged to the Vols, picking Tennessee over Ohio State and Ole Miss. It is one of the biggest recruiting gets of the Josh Heupel era. Meanwhile, SEC Media Days wraps up today in Tampa. Lane Kiffin, Ryan Silverfield of Arkansas, Jeff Lebby of Mississippi State, and Steve Sarkisian of Texas making the rounds. 3HL live once again at 3 p.m. for the last time at Media Days, presented by Wholesale Supply and eSpaces. Nashville Soccer Club back on the winning side last night against Montreal. 1-0 the final. Sam Surridge with a 68th-minute penalty kick goal to seal the win as Nashville remains at the top of the Major League Soccer standings. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Nothing like a football win in July if you're a Tennessee Vols fan, and that's exactly what you get with five-star running back David Gabriel George. You heard Lucas in his sports update. It's one of the top players in the 2027 recruiting cycle, and he is officially committed to Rocky Top. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. We'd be happy to have you throughout the course of the show. We got a lot of people hopping on the show today. We've got Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel, who is at SEC Media Days, so we'll talk more DGG with Adam at 12:20. He's also doing a little bit of Vandy coverage back in his old bag, where he started at the Tennessean as a beat reporter. He's been doing some Vanderbilt coverage for the Knoxville News Sentinel and the USA Today Network as well, so we'll get caught up on both local schools in the noon hour. Cosell is going to join us live just because of some scheduling issues for me this morning. So we will talk about the process of preparing a quarterback for an upcoming season. Greg has been doing a lot of these camps, for lack of a better term, O-line masterminds in Dallas, tight end U. He's been at a number of different functions for wide receivers and quarterbacks as well. Basically the technical side of football prep, because training camp is less than a week away. A win for Nashville SC, another win. Their second win since coming back from the World Cup break, and maybe not necessarily the high-scoring form that we were accustomed to prior to the World Cup, but there's a number of different reasons why, and a victory is a victory nonetheless. Dan Lovitz will join us in the next segment of Nashville SC. You were on the call last night.
Job got done.
Job got done.
There are plenty of excuses for Nashville to be dropping these games, so they are finding ways. It may not always be the most aesthetically pleasing. What did Vrabel used to say? It ain't pretty, but it's beautiful.
That's a David Quessenberry line. Many of Vrabel's lines stolen from other people. Yes. The Ron Rivera line, the David Quessenberry line. It's not pretty, but it's beautiful.
And then stolen by you. So it's just a constant chain. But
it's like sports radio.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. So, yes, Nashville, 2 games back, 2 wins, and they continue to separate at the top of the league standings. Not to look too far ahead, but August 15th, fast approaching, Inter Miami will be in town. Could be Lionel Messi's first game back after his post-World Cup break, and as of right now, it is the top 2 teams in Major League Soccer. So, we'll see what happens. Big win for the Vols yesterday.
Big win for the Vols.
It warmed my heart. It felt like the good old days of like 2013 that we all got up for a commitment and to watch a recruit. Everybody's tuning in on the live stream. He's got the hats on the table.
What was that Ole Miss hat doing there?
Yeah, Ole Miss had theoretically been in there. Everybody's kind of it's been the worst kept secret that it's between Tennessee and Ohio State.
Right.
Ole Miss technically was in his top 3.
Just have to have a third hat? Can't just do the 2?
I guess so, but it felt a little old school. He's surrounded by family. Yeah. He's got the hats. Everybody's watching. All of the noise over the last, I feel like it started to turn a week, 2 weeks ago, where the reporting and everything starts to back Tennessee. With that said, like we've mentioned before, the VolQuest guys from the jump have said, no, Tennessee is right in the thick of this thing and in a lot better of a position than they're getting credit for, where nationally it felt like Ohio State was going to be the assumed decision for David Gabriel George. And I just came back to this stat that Bill Martin, Tennessee SID, put out yesterday, almost immediately after the commitment. He tweeted, Tennessee has produced 3 straight 1,000-yard rushers, the longest current streak in the SEC. All 3 did it in their first year as a starter, and they were all SEC. Tennessee also leads the SEC in rushing since the start of the Heupel era, the 2021 season. That's over 204 yards per game, rushing in that span. That should make Tennessee fans very excited because while Tennessee's had some good players at running back, none have even come close to the talent ceiling that David Gabriel George has. So if there's an upward trajectory at quarterback after this season and David Gabriel George comes in, dude looks like he could play SEC football now, and we're talking about a year from now, the idea of DGG running into those light boxes for Tennessee in 2027 is very enticing to Vols fans.
1,749 rushing yards, 27 touchdowns for Baylor in Chattanooga last season. Did we talk about Chattanooga? At some point, we need to. Chattanooga deserves credit for the World Cup win.
They do.
Preparing the World Cup, the eventual World Cup champions in Spain.
You can never take that away from them. Chattanooga are home to the world champions.
Championships start in chat. Anyway, so DGG, now the headliner of Josh Heupel's 2027 class. It probably means that this is Deshaun Bishop's last season at Tennessee. He's their lead returning rusher.
We'll see.
Gave a really good answer on 3HL about perspective in his career. I don't know if you guys saw that clip making the rounds.
Yeah.
Some good clips, which means some good interviews coming out of media days from 3HL yesterday. I really like Dawn's question for Greg Sankey about, do you still find joy in your job, given that it's constant chaos and administrative and bureaucratic BS. Bullshiano, as Dawn Davenport might say. I thought that was really good. So you can go check out any of their interviews that they're doing down there. This is their last day, yes, from SEC Media Days. It's over.
Yep.
After today. And I was giving Lucas hell about it being, perpetually dry, and then Pete Golding got to the podium.
He was great.
We'll talk more about that stuff here in just a little while. I want to sit on the DGG stuff for a little while longer, but quickly, the SEC Media Day coverage by 3HL, sponsored by Wholesale Supply, built to supply, trusted to deliver, and by eSpaces, exceptional office space for every business. For more information, you can see the interviews that they have scheduled for today, the interviews that they've already done. You can visit 1045thezone.com and check out 3HL's podcast while you're doing just that. So now this becomes an interesting backfield, which is a great way to talk about supporting an ascending talent at quarterback, like you mentioned, potentially for the 2027 season. For the Josh Heupel recruiting conversation, how big a win was this for the Vols?
I mean, one of the biggest of the Heupel era. I mean, I'd put it right there next to Nico. With the hindsight that we have of Nico, that changes that conversation. But in terms of in the moment,
it's still what it was.
Yeah, and a similar price point, and that tells you how much NIL has evolved. That, what was that, 4 years ago, that Nico Iamaleava signs that blockbuster deal, that unprecedented deal of $2 million per year for a college football quarterback, and now here we are. In 2026, quarterbacks are making $5-6 million a year, and a running back, and David Gabriel George is getting a reported ballpark $2 million a year in NIL. But in terms of in the moment, I'd put DGG right under Nico in terms of seismic recruiting wins by Heupel. Also good to get one over on Ohio State finally. Like, it's been a few years of Ohio State having Tennessee's number. So the Vols get one over on them, and DGG is going to be in Knoxville next year.
Well done by all. So the vibes are high in Knoxville and East Tennessee today, and I don't know if you saw some of the quotes that he was giving various outlets that were there attending his recruitment, and I do like the old school, to your point about getting the vibe back of National Signing Day type stuff with the hats and the family around him at a podium with a backdrop and things of that nature. Because anymore, when did people start going on Feinbaum to do this? Because I feel like for a while Feinbaum was getting people announcing commitments on his show, and I've noticed McAfee doing a lot more of it. Maybe they're more one-offs than they are, because the top wide receiver commit in 2027, committed to Indiana on McAfee, but he's also from Indianapolis, so I didn't know how.
I mean, players are still doing announcements, too. Like, they're still doing the hats on tables thing at their respective high schools. They're still getting that moment. It's just the interest in recruiting has waned for obvious reasons, right? It used to be a recruiting class showed you the future of your program. Now, I don't know what percentage of your recruiting class will even be around in 2 years, and fans know that. So there's not much of a reason to get emotionally attached to these players that are committing to your school, but DGG is in a different category. I mean, this dude's just a machine. Moves down from Canada. English is a second language. Baylor School, for those who don't know, is a boarding school. So his life is school and football. And everybody that
just
speaks
how you want it.
about DGG, says exactly that. Like, this is a different cat. Kind of like the way people talk about Cam Ward. Like, there are some similarities in those conversations. Like, the guy just loves ball. He just wants to put his head down and work. You're not going to get the distractions. You're not going to get the off-field BS that maybe will come with some other players that are extremely talented. So Tennessee fans are and should be incredibly excited. His numbers are absurd. We talked about him as kind of a mini Derrick Henry, but those are the kind of numbers that he's put up at Baylor School, and he's got another year to grow and develop for a program that will chase another state championship this year.
They are getting, this is a quote that he gave CBS Sports, DGG did. That's going to trip me up a million different times. It's like, are you guys familiar with this running back, Lee Beebe Jr.?
No.
He's apparently on Indiana's roster, and I was listening to an Indiana running back room preview podcast the other day because I'm a football guy now for Indiana, and the host kept saying Lee Beebe Jr. over and over and over again. It was driving me crazy. Anyway, quote, they are getting somebody that will always try to be better and do my best, is what he told CBS Sports. This decision was not taken lightly. They made me feel like home and just be around those people, talking with the strength and conditioning coach. Really think it'll be a good fit. Heupel made it clear he really wanted to use me as a weapon. What impact is the strength and conditioning coach that you guys hired away from Indiana having?
Derek Owings has been, the interesting thing about Owings is people know who he is, and Tennessee Athletics is putting stuff out there in interviews where his predecessor was just kind of in the shadows. That's how he operated. Nobody really knew anything about him.
No, he's got a personality.
But Derek Owings is out there, and it was the most publicized strength and conditioning hire of the Heupel era by far. So returns have been good from everything that, I listening to the VolQuest podcast the other day, I heard Austin Price mention Arion Carter speaking on the amount of weight that they're putting on with Derek Owings, but at the same time, the speed's not dropping off, and the GPS is showing improved speed despite the weight that's being added on. So that makes it easy for players to buy in. So, yeah, Derek Owings should be making a difference for Tennessee this year. The Vols waned. They waned last year, it felt like, physically. We'll see what that looks like in week 10, 11, and what is an extremely tough schedule, especially at home in 2026.
Have you seen the stats surrounding the increase in speed?
With Derek Owings specifically?
Yes.
No.
So Tennessee put this graphic out on their Instagram, I believe. So before the coach got there, they had only 12 players who hit over 21 miles per hour on the entire roster. Now 47 Tennessee players have hit the 21 miles per hour mark or higher in off-season training. So
that's insane.
He has almost 4x'd the amount of players that are running at that threshold.
Hey, man.
What's up, buddy? Good to see you.
You're right. That was a weird way to start that.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Isn't that in a song? Hey, man. Man, child. That's
one of the most underrated talking points around how Fernando Mendoza became a number one overall pick is how much damn bigger he got.
He's running people over in the national championship.
If you look at him at Cal, his last year at Cal versus his only season at Indiana, last season when he's able to do things like power through tackles against Miami defenders on 4th and 5 and spring forward for a diving touchdown and stuff like that, the size difference in that player is significant. I mean, how much higher of a talent ceiling Fernando Mendoza may have, I have no idea. What he's going to be as a pro, I have no idea. But as a college football player, that strength and conditioning program made a world of difference for the durability of the way that they played. It was a critical component to the way that Indiana won a national championship last year.
Put DGG with that guy. See what happens. This is a conversation.
Derrick Henry, baby Derrick Henry.
Yeah, this is a conversation for another day. But it does feel like Tennessee fans right now are more excited about the 2027 season before the 2026 season even starts.
Well,
and it prompts the easy. Oh, it's always next year, isn't it?
I don't like that though. I feel like you have to stay in the moment.
That's kind of what it is. So maybe we can talk about that in the state and the trajectory of this program at some point.
Yes. I would also like to. What'd you say it like that for? Yes.
I don't think it was quite that exasperated.
I'm done. It's okay.
Why are you so tired? I can hear it in your voice.
I don't know. I'm just on my last straw for whatever reason. I just woke up and I was...
Carrot Top pushing you back there, antagonizing you?
I'm just exhausted.
Do you have any more... remember last time we had Nashville SC defender Dan Lovitz on, you pitched him goal calls.
Like it or love it.
Yeah, so let's ask the guy who just said... He's tired to come up with some. I'm about to ask you guys for something. I'm about to ask you guys for something.
Okay.
Don't ask me for something
That's
yet.
okay.
We got to come up with what DGG actually stands for. Like, sure, that's his name, but also it needs to have another acronym, like "doggone it, go on and get," or something. We need to find out. We need to find out what DGG actually means.
I don't like having to say DGG over and over again.
Don't get run over.
Don't get got?
Don't get got. Don't get got is good. I like that. Don't get got is great.
How about that?
Okay.
How about David gon' get?
That sounds too close to a Teresa Walker, Tavondre Sweat situation.
Go on and get.
If you know, you know. I'm going to get a text from Teresa now.
Or Dadgummit George. That would be good, too. Dadgummit George. If he fumbles, it's Dadgummit George. If he busts somebody's ass, it's don't get got.
Larry has one in the chat that I don't like either. Dude's Got Game. Don't hate that one. EMAC on YouTube.
Okay, that's not bad.
We're getting some decent submissions in the F&M Bank chat, which is where you can interact with the show. But like Lucas said, Dan Lovitz of Nashville SC will join us coming up next.
It may only be 10:18, but that doesn't mean you can't already start thinking about your lunch break. If you're anything like me, you started doing that about half an hour ago. And Hattie B's Hot Chicken should be front and center at any one of their Middle Tennessee locations, whether it's Melrose, Midtown, Broadway, the brand new East Nashville location on Gallatin, a great spot to go and watch some games with that event space hangar behind the restaurant and enjoy all of Hattie B's Hot Chicken favorites. The Meat and Three legacy started by the Bishop family has carried into Hattie B's, producing the best hot chicken with the best sides in the world. And if you download the Hattie B's app today, you can start to build up those rewards. I was out there at Geodis Park last night for the Nashville SC game. Great to see folks walking around the concourse with their Hattie B's hot chicken in hand because, yes, you can get Hattie B's hot chicken while watching the boys in gold at Geodis Park. And go to Hattie B's today.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Nashville SC keeps winning. Dan Lovitz is kind enough to join us after their victory against Montreal last night at Geodis Park in front of a friendly crowd. Dan, how you been? It's been a while, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. All good here, though. Happy to be in winning ways and in the thick of the summer now. So things are coming thick and fast, but it's been a good stretch so far.
Lucas was on the call for you guys last night in the win, and he was talking earlier at the start of the show about, you guys the roster is a little banged up right now, even after the rest from the World Cup break and things of that nature. There are reasons that you guys might not look as crisp or might not necessarily be succeeding as at as high a level as you were prior to the World Cup, but you're still finding ways to grind it out. How important is that as a team?
It's huge. I mean, that's really what separates the good teams from the great ones is even on your, call it not your best day, your highest level of performance, you can still get a win. That's really where the aggregate gets made up when you come to the end of the year and you see the position you finish in and you get into the postseason. Those points are a big deal, and it's not something that we look past or take lightly, but at the same time, we know that we'd like to get firing on all cylinders here as quickly as possible, and regardless of who we have out there. We hold ourselves to a certain standard internally, and I think coming off of the break, this was a little bit we kind of saw this coming in terms of getting some cobwebs off and getting up to speed, but it's good to be getting wins in the meantime, even when we're not playing our best stuff, per se.
Nashville SC defender Dan Lovitz here with us on the show. They got a win against Montreal at Geodis Park last night.
A fifth consecutive win in league play. That is a club record as Nashville continues to defend its spot at the top of the league standings. Dan, how did you take in the World Cup break from a rest and recovery standpoint, working back in, and then watching the games with the guys in various different countries in the World Cup that were represented on Nashville's roster? What was that like throughout the course of the summer?
Oh, it was amazing. I think first and foremost, I don't know if I've had I wouldn't call it a summer off, but a break to that extent since 2008 or 2009. I was doing the math, so that was a new perk for a lot of us. That was a lot of fun, well earned, obviously, to go into the break sitting in the position that we were, but it was great to get back into town, back in the market, and like you said, we have a roster full of guys that were really excited to watch the tournament. We had one guy that was actually playing for a team in Iraq, so we were really excited to watch those games, but we have a good American contingent on the team as well, so we were able to get together and just be another group of fans at a place watching the game. That was a lot of fun, kind of a rare experience for us, but it was really, really cool seeing the excitement in the city for the U.S. team. Obviously wish things would have played out a little bit differently, but it was a blast supporting them. And as the later rounds got on, it was fun kind of taking polls and taking little side bets with guys about who they thought was going to advance. And it was a great tournament. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be around the guys and to be working for this next second half of the season while watching games every day. It was awesome.
You've been a part of the U.S. soccer sphere in a professional capacity at this point for over a decade. You've got 13 U.S. men's national team appearances yourself. But how did you see the difference in World Cup past versus this World Cup and the way the nation kind of hopped on the ride? And are you seeing that manifest itself with the energy and the crowd at these games coming out of the World Cup break?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was, you couldn't really predict how it would all play out, but once we got announced as the host along with Mexico and Canada, we knew the potential for the sport was great, and maybe, like you said, converting some of those casual fans into season ticket holders for their local clubs. And obviously I can't really tell what the numbers have been rolling in as it pertains to that, but I'd have to assume, based on the excitement and the amount of people I had reach out to me over the tournament, friends, family, acquaintances, whatever, the energy for the sport is really, really high. I think a lot of people enjoyed the tournament. Going to games, watching games, having it right here, accessible. It was a beautiful thing. I hope, and I'm sure FIFA understood the value of that. I'm sure their bank account swelled as a result, call it that. But at the same time, I think it's,
Dan, that's not what it's about.
That's not what it's about. It's not what it's about. Love of the game. I started with love of the game. I'll have you know. But yeah, I just think it was a win-win. It was a really great tournament. Obviously, to expand the field of play significantly, I think raised a lot of eyebrows before the tournament, but it played out amazing. There's a lot of teams that a lot of people got to see for the first time, and I think that Cape Verde goalie has a few extra million followers on Instagram that he could thank to the tournament. Maybe they wouldn't have gotten a chance to get on the world stage. So it was just great. It was a lot of fun. I think we're really going to see here in the next few months, especially going into next season, how a lot of those fans translate into, they're staying for the long haul and they're going to pick a team and support it and see how things go.
So you're coming up on the halfway point of the MLS schedule. You guys got Orlando City SC coming up on the road on Saturday, July 25th. You can hear and watch the broadcast on Apple TV. You can hear the call on 104.5 The Zone, of course. As far as the return and kind of brushing off the cobwebs, for lack of a better term, as you mentioned, and balancing what a favorable situation you guys went into this break with, what are kind of the challenges of managing that midpoint of the season in MLS play after that long layoff?
Yeah, I think the main thing is staying humble, staying focused on one game at a time. At the end of the day, like you said, there's a lot of soccer to be played, a lot of games left, and everyone would certainly trade peaking in July for peaking in November. I think it's all about when you get hot, when you're playing your best stuff. And for us, we don't want to be a team that just has a great regular season and then fizzles out when it comes time for the postseason. I think we take a ton of pride in how we approach things, and hopefully we can continue to grow and get better. I don't think that we've seen the best that this team can play yet, which is, not hyperbole. I think that's actually how a lot of us feel. I think we have another level we can reach, and not being too rushed in that, making sure we can get all the right pieces back. Obviously, we've had a lot of injuries, but we have a very deep squad, and we have a ton of games. We're going to have to rely on the entire roster to contribute. And that's one of the strengths of this group. And so we're really just looking forward to going back to business. Week in, week out, game in, game out, and just having a lot of opportunities to play soccer for Nashville. I think it's a fun time to be playing here. The condensed schedule lends itself to a lot of things we do really well in terms of rotating the squad, managing ourselves, recovering, getting treatment, whatever it may be. I think we have a really professional group, and I think that's a big advantage for us.
Dan Lovitz joins us, Nashville SC defender, after Nashville defeated Dan's former squad last night, 1-0 the final over Montreal. So Sam Surridge gets his flowers last night for winning the penalty through that effort and then converting it, the depth getting tested, and you guys just found a way. But Brian Schwacke, who has gotten all sorts of accolades this year, Nashville SC goalkeeper. He is an MLS All-Star, having a fantastic season. But I feel like last night, Dan, quietly, maybe one of his better performances of the year when you talk about a situation for a goalie where you don't have to do much all game, right? You guys had about 63% of the ball last night, especially in the first half, and he wasn't really called into action but for two occasions, and he comes up with massive saves, something that is extraordinarily hard to do for a goalkeeper to be at your best, even if you're not really in the rhythm of a game because of the way your team's controlling the ball. How much confidence for you guys as a defensive core, as a squad in general, has Brian Schwacke given you with his performances in this breakout season he's having in goal?
Yeah, it's really well said. I think you nailed it. It's a luxury and a little bit of a catch-22, I think, when you have a team where the guys in the outfield are controlling the rhythm of the game, and he doesn't have a lot of opportunities. Listen, as a defender, we take a lot of pride in that. We want him to not even have to put his gloves on. That's what we get evaluated on, and that's how we judge ourselves. But regardless, games are weird. No matter who the opponent is, there's always going to be a little half chance or a really good chance. Especially later in games when we need it most. And he's been there. He's been clued in. I think goalies are weird in general, the way they operate. And, they're always a little quirky. But I think it goes to your point. They're always locked in. Even when they're not directly involved in the game, they're They're dialed, man. They have to be. That's the part of the job, and I think Brian's had an incredible season, but something that we all have come to know, even when last year he wasn't necessarily starting every game. He's a quality goalkeeper, and, I think, to your point, quietly, he's made some incredible saves. He's obviously been recognized league-wide as an all-star. I think that's a no-brainer, but those plays that he makes, those saves that he makes late in games, in the middle of games, beginning of games, whatever it is, he's standing on his head right now, and it's a great thing to have as a defender, but as a team in general, he's really helping us squeak out these hard-fought 1-0 victories at home that are so important.
Hey, Dan, stay healthy, buddy. We appreciate the time, and congratulations on the success so far. Keep it up, and we'll look forward to watching.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, guys. Good talking.
That's Dan Lovitz, Nashville SC defender. They're back in action on Saturday night. Orlando City. Is it SC? Orlando City SC?
Yeah. You can call them Orlando City.
I thought it was a typo.
Whatever you want.
I thought there's sometimes it's FC, sometimes it's SC.
Yeah. They've just brought in a big-name player in Antoine Griezmann, who was a World Cup winner with France in 2018. Long career for Atletico Madrid and Barcelona in Europe, who made his debut just yesterday and scored a goal. So Nashville will walk into Orlando in what's been a pretty heated rivalry in the last few years. Quick turnaround, banged-up squad, and try to scratch out another result.
Nashville SC playing with some confidence. Every child deserves to start school with some confidence. Ramon Foster, proud to host the Kickoff Confidence Shoe Drive, benefiting children served by From Your Father, which is a Middle Tennessee nonprofit supporting single mothers and their children. So as families prepare for a new school year, you've got backpacks, you've got school supplies, you can get those through community drives. Brand new pair of shoes in the right size for kids. It's a lot harder to find if you're in need. Shoes need to fit, last, and carry kids through long school days, recess, PE, and everything in between. So we're asking you to help us out, help raise some money for the big fella and the great work that he's doing to support children across Middle Tennessee. It is as simple as going to 1045thezone.com and sponsoring a child today. You can donate via the link online at 1045thezone.com, like I mentioned. And we appreciate you guys, as always, for helping us raise money for a great cause.
Also, before we get back to talking about sports, a quick content note. If you are listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and you have not seen them updating as of late, we had some issues with this on Twitter. I sorted this through with some people. If you will unfollow the show and follow it back, that will remedy that. So if you've been wondering, hey, where the hell's the podcast at? The podcast isn't updating. One, I appreciate people tweeting at me and letting me know they were having this issue, but it is not something on our side. All you have to do is unfollow and refollow. If that doesn't work, restart your phone after you unfollow and refollow, and that will repopulate the podcast.
Yeah, I've been getting tweets about people not getting the podcast since like mid-July or something like that.
Right.
So Robert was very diligent in being IT yesterday for us on Twitter and making sure that people could get updated with the podcast.
Customer service, 10 out of 10.
Yes, absolutely, because mine is not, so Robert Walsh is there to the rescue. Apple Podcast kind of sucks, yeah? I've always been an Apple Podcast guy, but since McShay brought this up with the ESPN layoffs, you saw that he's still listed as a co-host on a lot of ESPN podcasts if you look at the Apple page. I noticed this for a lot of shows on Apple Podcasts, like they just don't update correctly or properly based on the way that they're being formatted. So yeah, if you're having some podcast difficulties, Robert just gave you the way to rectify those. Thank you very much for doing so, Bert. Anything else on Nashville SC before we move on?
We'll see if they can get some guys back and sort of get back into top gear, especially before that Miami matchup that looms August 15th. Miami won yesterday against Chicago Fire despite no Lionel Messi. You guys saw this own goal right out of the gates. Rocco Rios Novo, the backup Miami goalkeeper that gets the start in this one and did not cover himself in glory just a few minutes in.
I think quite the opposite. I think there could be no greater shame on the heels of a World Cup like that, where goaltending was spectacular.
It was fantastic.
And then we go live to MLS coverage and
Brian Schwacke would never.
No, he would not. Yeah. He would not. Nashville is fortunate that we do not have one of these putzes.
I did have a question for you. adjacent to soccer, I guess it's still about soccer. I saw something yesterday, maybe it was LA Galaxy and someone else arguing over the discovery rights of a player.
Are you watching MLS?
This is awesome.
I'm following it.
Yeah.
Look at you.
So what you're talking about, this is where the ins and outs of MLS roster building is just hilarious. So Casemiro, who is a Brazilian player, he has played a long career for Real Madrid and Manchester United, has been one of the best midfielders in the world at his peak. He is signing with Inter Miami, and he's getting up there in age, right, into his late 30s. But it's obviously a big name, another big name coming to Miami. But the league is investigating the signing because LA Galaxy had the discovery rights of Casemiro. So you can put players on your quote-unquote discovery rights list, essentially, that gives you kind of first dibs in signing them, and it's supposed to apply to players that you scout and dig up. So you don't do the groundwork of scouting a random Norwegian or Nigerian player and another team sort of swoops in. You get the first opportunity to sign them. The problem is MLS teams are able to use this as a loophole to basically put these huge, big-name players on their quote-unquote discovery rights list, like they discovered Casemiro, even though he's been one of the more famous midfielders in the world for quite some time. So that's where you get into the nitty-gritty. I would suggest those jumping into Major League Soccer, don't even bother getting into the nuts and bolts of MLS roster construction, man. It is an absolute... It's just all over the place.
It's delightful that you can still screw up a fax and end up with a great striker.
Yeah.
Like Nashville SC.
I mean, that's the beauty of...
I long for those days in the NFL, Robert, where the Broncos just botched a fax and Elvis Dumerville all of a sudden is a Raven.
God, I miss Elvis Dumerville. What
He's a good player.
He was a really,
great name.
really good player.
Great
Elvis Dumerville is a good name.
It's a great,
It's
elite
very
name.
singular.
But
like nobody ever shaded him for being named Elvis, right?
Yeah, what other Elvises are there? Other than Presley?
Oh.
No, I wasn't
I
doing
was
a
gonna
bit
bring
there.
it.
Like, I'm like, can you name an Elvis other than Presley?
Elvis Crespo.
It's a great name. We should name more kids Elvis. But that is the thing that I think to pitch MLS to American fans, it's so college football-y, where there is good soccer and there are high-level players, but there's also just some chaos and action and hilarity. So, no, it's not the Premier League, but that's not what it is meant to be. It's just ours, and we get to do it our way.
I'm telling you, I laughed when Nashville SC had a chance in front of goal. I'm like, oh, he's going to head that one in there for the first goal, and then, no, not quite. It's okay. It's still a fun watch.
I thought it was funny when I saw that they were arguing over discovery rights. Somebody had quote tweeted it and said, yes, we've been watching him since the 2000s. Like, he's been on our list. Like,
this pesky, under-the-radar midfielder winning Champions Leagues with Real Madrid. Yes, we discovered him.
All right, I want to keep it with soccer because the World Cup numbers are out, and they are stunning in this country. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
A day at the spa, the perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, or any occasion. Lavish and luxurious, yet affordable. A grand gesture, yet simple for you. The gift card from A Moment's Peace. Give her the gift she won't buy herself. An escape, a bit of luxury. Something special that shows more than just words. A gift from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs across I-65 from Galleria Mall. Call 615-224-0770 or go online at amomentspeace.com anytime.
Elvis Crespo, pretty good Elvis. Pretty good Elvis. Suavemente. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. You see what's going on online? Robert, you have to take the side of the Germans on this one. See what happened?
Oh, I have no problem with that German. He shows his face.
Yeah, a little early Friday fire from Fiago.
Fiago. He knows ball, clearly. The Freddie character of German, the German Freddie influencer. He's come over for the World Cup. He's been cataloging a lot of his travels across the United States during the World Cup on Twitter. Some people find it wholesome. Robert finds it loathsome. Cristiano Ronaldo getting a lot of free publicity off Freddie. I guess Ronaldo doesn't necessarily need it.
Not quite.
But don't think it hurts.
I think it's like the other way around.
Yeah. That's probably the better way to put it. Anyway, they went to the White House recently, which does not help does not quiet the rumors of it being a PSYOP, a CIA-run account. But one of his traveling compatriots is named Fiago, and Fiago is doing, he went to the Nashville SC game while they were in town, and he sampled the best hot chicken in the world. Had some Hattie B's. He recently posted a picture, a review on Twitter of the lesser chicken, the chicken that shall not be named, because why bother? And simply to summarize the tweet, he's saying, I don't know why everybody's so hyped up about this bland chicken. Hattie B's far superior.
He said, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't get the hype around blank.
Yeah.
So many Germans I know want to try this so desperately, but I think it's pretty average. Chick-fil-A is better in my opinion, and Hattie B's is miles clear.
That's right.
That is a neutral opinion. Parachuting in from Germany couldn't be more correct.
Noseball.
Yeah.
So some World Cup numbers that were staggering. Now, when we talked about this a little while ago, Lucas, we discussed it within the context of football numbers in the United States, right? Nothing rates better on television still as a live event than the NFL, right? Nothing, I mean, college football occasionally gets close, but the NFL is still dominant in terms of how well and how many people sit down on a regular basis, whether it be for pure fandom, whether it be for gambling purposes, fantasy football, what have you, to watch an average NFL game. We were talking yesterday about the Hall of Fame game. The Hall of Fame game will do numbers because it is simply NFL football back in our lives. Now, are you familiar with Michael Mulvihill?
Oh, a name sounds familiar.
He's the head of insights and analytics at Fox. Mm-hmm. Fox, of course, was the broadcast partner, the U.S. broadcast partner for the World Cup. Fox also is does Fox own Telemundo? Is that correct?
Fox, oh gosh, I don't remember. I don't know.
I think they do have a relationship. Anyway, Michael Mulvihill tweeted this 2 days ago. The World Cup final averaged 66.4 million viewers in the U.S. on Fox and Telemundo combined. 42.5 million on Fox, 23.9 million on Telemundo. Other than Super Bowls, this is the largest sports audience since the 1994 Winter Olympics. So we knew in this country that the Super Bowl was still going to carry the biggest number. We were curious after the U.S. got bounced unceremoniously by Belgium whether American interest would hold, the American television audience interest would hold throughout the rest of the World Cup after the U.S. left in the round of 16. Not only did it keep people's attention, it dwarfed every AFC and NFC championship game that we have broadcast on television. The only thing that is bigger since the 1994 Olympics, Winter Olympics, are Super Bowls.
Isn't that insane?
That's wild to me. I'm stunned by that.
Like, that's every AFC and NFC championship game in the modern era. That's the last three Jordan NBA finals.
Yeah.
Any of LeBron's or Steph's NBA finals. Like, even I was stunned by that number. No U.S. men's national team, end of the tournament. It is a Sunday afternoon, right? And there's no other sports going on and conflicting with it. But there's also nothing conflicting with the AFC championship when it's on. I was legitimately stunned by those numbers. Happily surprised.
So what does that mean?
Yeah, that's the ultimate question, right? Like, there's a long-term answer on what the 2026 World Cup will do for soccer from a player development standpoint and kids that start to pick up a ball that maybe otherwise wouldn't. From a fan engagement perspective for kids that are impressionable at the age of 12 and were blown away by this summer, and suddenly soccer will become one of their favorite sports. And then there's the short term and how it manifests itself in the coming months. Nashville is a fascinating case study, is it not? For a club that is at the top of Major League Soccer, right now the best team in the league, in a city that is so football dominant, in a soccer season that bleeds straight into football season. So the crowds, the ratings for Nashville SC games over the next few months are going to be a fascinating case study for the short-term impact of the World Cup after that beautiful 5-week fever dream that we all were a part of. What is probably going to happen is it just sort of enters the sphere of casual observance a little more than it otherwise would for people like our age or older, right? Like, soccer's not suddenly going to replace football for grown adults as their number one sport, and that's okay. I think more about
usually there's like
people at an age where it's more impressionable, where you're 10, 12 years old, letting the World Cup sort of sweep over you and emerge out of it with soccer as one of your number one sports, which was the case for me as a little kid.
So somebody in the chat correctly points out, and I asked Robert this just quickly, the idea of would we be able to have any ballpark number on the people that illegally stream these things? Because that's just people that have Fox, access to Fox, that are paying for Fox One, that have Fox as a part of their cable channel, cable package, or YouTube TV.
Watch parties as well.
Watch parties, too.
I don't know how many people were in the hangar at Hattie B's in East Nashville when we were there.
Hundreds of thousands at Hattie B's.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Hundreds of thousands. And the service was still excellent. So
yes.
You should go there.
Like this number would be like 67 million if they took into account just the people that were at the Hattie B's on Gallatin on Sunday.
It's exciting. I mean, it's exciting if you want to see sustained interest in that sport and how it will potentially grow ahead of the next World Cup. Now, again, the time zone thing is really going to be the biggest challenge to overcome as far as like getting anywhere close to that number again in a World Cup that we're not hosting.
Yeah, the next World Cup games will be early in the morning, like 5, 6, 7 a.m.
Which is normal if you're an EPL fan.
Oh, sure.
Right?
I mean, I'll be waking up for them. And like 2 p.m., early afternoon. Early morning, early afternoon will be the next World Cup in 2030 in Spain, Morocco, and Portugal. And a little bit of Uruguay and a little bit of Argentina.
So you asked about the illegal streams. I tried to find a roundabout number to see if anybody had written about this, but BBC put an article out just 3 days ago talking about how the Department of Justice had shut down 400 illegal stream pages ahead of the World Cup, knowing that it was coming up. Since then, they have taken down an estimated 900 streams, which is funny because my streams have been unimpacted. So they're knocking a bunch of streams out, but it's not even like the top level ones. The main countries in question for this were apparently Colombia, where over 200 of the illegal streams were originating out of the country of Colombia.
Wow. Okay.
The DOJ is not playing.
Well, it's because they're taking FIFA's money.
Well, the World Cup is estimating a loss of $220 million in lost revenue due to those views. Oh. Drop in the pan. 220.
I love that even the players can joke about it. I love that Dan Lovitz was joking about it.
Yeah, inflating FIFA.
And I wanted to lean into it a little bit. I'm like, I don't want to make it too uncomfortable.
No, they're a non-pro. No, Dan at this point,
he gets it.
Yeah, he gets it.
10 years in MLS, he gets it.
He's 34. Like he's had his U.S. men's national team career.
All right, calm down with he's 34. I'm 33. All right, relax.
He's wise. And healthy and still producing.
Yeah, no doubt. He was talking about not having a break like that since like 2008. I'm like, that has to feel great on your body if you're a 10-year vet in any kind of sport, just to get essentially a month and a half of a layoff there.
Yeah, but also then you got to shake off the rust, right, for any player. Like it's longer than any regular break, but not long enough to be a true off season, and it's still in the middle of the season. So MLS teams kind of just trying to get the gears going again here in the back half.
It's the last day of SEC Media Days in Tampa, where 3HL has been broadcasting all week long. It's their final day of broadcasts. As a matter of fact, we have been doing one big thing on every SEC program that makes their way to the podium today. LSU, Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. We'll cover those next.
It is 11 o'clock. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzika. Big news for Tennessee football on Wednesday as five-star running back David Gabriel George of Baylor School in Chattanooga picked up the Vols hat over Ohio State and Ole Miss. He is one of the highest-rated recruits of the Josh Heupel era. DGG will head into his senior season at Baylor in 2026. SEC Media Days rolls on. Final day down in Tampa. LSU, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Texas making the rounds today. 3HL broadcasting for a final time down at Media Days starting at 3, presented by Wholesale Supply and eSpaces. Meanwhile, rookies are reporting to training camp for the Tennessee Titans. Veterans will report next week before training camp officially gets underway. Nashville Soccer Club back on the winning side yesterday, 1-0 over Montreal. Sam Surge's 68th minute penalty kick goal was the difference. Nashville has won 5 straight in MLS play for the first time in club history and continue to defend their spot at the top of the league. They travel to Orlando on Saturday. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
SEC Media Day is getting ready to conclude. It's one more day and 4 programs left. Well, some programs have already talked at the podium. Between LSU, Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. Yesterday we had some fireworks, is it fair to call it, around Pete Golding and his media availability?
It was refreshing hearing Pete Golding speak yesterday at Media Days.
So he was technically, he was obviously not a head coach for the entirety of last season, given the Lane Kiffin of it all at Ole Miss, but he is also in this John Summerall, Will Stein category of first time being the guy at SEC Media Days, and clearly is more comfortable letting it fly than the people who have done this a million times over, like Josh Heupel or Kirby Smart or whomever else. Although the Mike Elko line, did you bring up the Mike Elko line about the trophy case?
Mike Elko is also,
I love him,
refreshingly blunt and honest. Like he was the one that I think it was at spring meetings basically said, yeah, I want the playoff to expand to 24. I want it to expand to 48. I want to be in the playoff. I'm looking out for my self-interest.
That's right.
Just says the thing that we all know to be true.
Bless you, sir.
Because he knows, that's not the thing that's going to get him fired. Losing games is the thing that would get him fired. So Mike Elko also falls under that category, yes.
Speaking of college football, the college football kickoff is coming back for Friday, September the 4th at Yazoo Brewing Company in Madison. You can hang out with Robert and Lucas, cover 2 and 3HL. While you're there from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., you can sign up for a chance to win Tennessee football season tickets. Whoa.
It's a good prize.
Have they done that every year?
Yeah, we definitely did it last year.
That's very nice. So Tennessee football season tickets. They have a number of different prizes. There's free kickoff T-shirts, glasses, other fun prizes for the first 250 people at Yazoo Brew in Madison on September the 4th. Thank you very much to Yazoo for hosting the college football kickoff for, I believe it's a 3rd or a 4th straight year, if I'm not mistaken. So LSU, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi State, as I mentioned. Where would you like to start with your one big thing?
Let's keep it on Texas to start. The one big thing for Texas is this has to be the year. That is the most reductive way to talk about Steve Sarkisian and his time at Texas. But if you are a Texas fan,
what it is,
and Steve Sarkisian is not knocking on the door of a national championship deep into the college football playoff, what confidence do you have that it's a thing that's going to happen with Arch Manning and this wide receiver core headlined by the transfer of Cam Coleman, one of the biggest transfers in the entire offseason, the wide receiver from Auburn to Texas, part of this loaded wide receiver draft class. He's right at the top, maybe right under Jeremiah Smith, but right at the top. This has to be it for Texas and Steve Sarkisian. If I'm a Longhorn fan and Texas falls flat this year, I'm probably out on Sark. Right? Is that fair to say? And Steve Sarkisian's a good coach. He is an elite offensive play caller. But in terms of getting over that ultimate hump, if he can't do it this year with Arch and Cam Coleman and that whole group, then yes, he could still be a good coach, but it turns into the ultimate test of, okay, what really is your standard, Texas?
They get no grace period at the start of the season, right? They don't get any grace around starting slow again after Arch looked the way that he looked at the end of the year.
Well, they get Ohio State in week 2 instead of week 1.
Right.
They play Texas State at home, and then they host Ohio State.
They get Ohio State, meaning that's at Texas?
Yes, they host Ohio State in week 2, September 12th. They open SEC play with the Battle of the UTs as Texas goes to Tennessee. That's a noon Eastern kickoff in front of Checker Neyland. Then you get Oklahoma. They host Florida, host Ole Miss, host Mississippi State. They go on the road to LSU and Texas A&M, 2 of their last 3 games of the regular season. So their schedule is kind of bookended by the hard parts with Ohio State and Tennessee up front, Tennessee on the road, that is, and LSU and Texas A&M on the road to close things out.
Somebody on YouTube says of your Sark opinion, definitely not. That's a huge take. I guess he means hot take. Who else are you going to bring in to replace him?
Yeah, it's an incredibly reductive take. I understand that. And it's the very thing that I went against Benjamin Watson on when talking about Lane Kiffin saying he has to get to the championship in year 1.
It's also the way his entire fan base is thinking about him.
I mean, it has to be, right? Steve Sarkisian at this point, 13-3 in year 1, get to the semifinal of the college football playoff, lose to Ohio State. 10-3 in year 2. Arch did not hit the ground running the way everybody expected him to. The hype for Texas should be off the charts with that talent roster and Arch with a year under his belt.
Well, and here's the thing. How much do you think Cignetti shortens the leash for all these other coaches?
Oh, he absolutely does.
Even if it's a short-term and short-sighted, because what the commenter is pointing out is it would be short-sighted to fire Sarkisian because who are you going to replace him with? But I promise you, somebody is going to get antsy around their very, very accomplished coach.
Yep.
And they are going to look at Curt Cignetti at Indiana and say, reductively, he did this at a place that has never mattered ever. Why can't you, with all the resources in the world at LSU or Texas or I don't know who else is in a similar situation, Oregon, like where else would you look
Bama.
at high expectations around programs that are well-resourced and are in a situation?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, absolutely. So all of these institutions at some point are going to think about it. Can I get a Cignetti? And the answer is no, because that guy's a unicorn. And maybe there's one in another 50 years or something like that. But I think there's only one right now that just did what he did. Maybe he never does it again, by the way, because of the landscape of college sports. It's not a given that that's just going to be some kind of, that he's going to rule the roost the way that Saban did for the better part of 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ohio State is the favorite, by the way, to win the national championship at plus 550. Notre Dame, the second odds-on favorite at plus 650, because they do have, I remind folks, the Heisman favorite per FanDuel, C.J. Carr playing quarterback. Texas has the second Heisman favorite in Arch Manning. Texas is the third favorite to win the national championship at plus 800. They are tied with Oregon at plus 800. Oregon, who returns Dante Moore at quarterback. So, yeah, Sark, this is the time. If you fall, especially if Texas were to fall well short of the national championship.
Like Penn State. You get to the Final Four and then you just,
or
something happens.
Or worse, the quarterfinal, and you lose. Your fan base, a huge portion of Sark's fan base will be out on Sark if they cannot reach those heights this year. Now, for Lane and LSU, the one big thing to keep it reductive, I suppose, you have to build a dynasty at LSU. Or the Lane Kiffin era at LSU will be viewed as a disappointment. That is by nature reductive, right? Because then we can get into an argument of what's a dynasty. And if Lane wins 2 championships at LSU, it would be ridiculous to say that the Lane Kiffin era at LSU was a disappointment. But you get what I'm saying. Lane Kiffin is in a spot now where the expectations on him are higher than anywhere he has ever been in his life, no matter the capacity. Whether it's as the offensive coordinator at Alabama or the head coach at USC, the head coach at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, as the head coach of the LSU Tigers, has the most pressure and the highest expectations on him to deliver more than anywhere he's ever been. So what does that look like in year one? I'm not on board with Benjamin Watson saying he has to be in the championship game in year one, but LSU has to be in the conversation in year one. Lane went out and got Sam Leavitt. Nobody has been better at churning and burning through transfer portal quarterbacks, other than maybe Curt Cignetti, than Lane Kiffin, when it comes to just going and getting a guy and making it work at the highest of levels. To do it with Trinidad Chambliss, a dude out of Ferris State that pledged to Ole Miss when they already had a starter in place in Austin Simmons. Lane makes it work with whatever quarterback he has, and he's got one of the more talented quarterbacks in the country coming in with Sam Leavitt. It's a talented roster. Portal King was at work in the offseason, including a local tie. Jordan Ross, the former 5-star edge rusher from Tennessee, transferred to LSU. Expect him to play a big role for LSU this season. But the path to building a powerhouse program has to start in year one for Lane.
I want him to succeed because I enjoy him. Do you see he deleted his social media?
That's what he said. He said he won a bet with his son, Knox, who said he would not delete his social media, and he did. Said he was doom scrolling. I feel that.
You accused me of being perpetually online, two of you.
It's bad.
The two of you and the brain rot that you subject yourselves to.
It's really bad.
And now you've infiltrated my algorithm by proximity because I'm starting to see a lot of the crap that the two of you send each other and also send to our group Instagram message.
Lane also has addressed the comments that shot toward Ole Miss about families not wanting to come to Oxford because of a racist history. Lane said, quote, "It was a poor choice of words and I apologized for it." Moving on.
Okay, but I don't know what I don't like more. The fact that he decided that that was the moment that he was going to take a shot at Ole Miss, or the fact that he's apologizing for something that's a thing. They're the Rebels, for God's sakes. Like, I'm not here to cancel the Ole Miss football program or whatever. But like, you don't have to apologize for it because it's a thing. So why you apologizing because you got in trouble? What are you doing?
He's also doing the thing that I, as an SEC fan, am tired of hearing from SEC coaches.
Speaking about Lane Kiffin?
No, but talking about the College Football Playoff Committee. He says the playoff committee needs to get to a point where they, quote, this is Lane Kiffin today, can actually look at teams and say that team that is 9-3 with their schedule is a better team than that 11-1 team that's in a different conference. I am, as an SEC fan, I'm tired of hearing this. Tired of it. Like, the price of being in the SEC is you play good teams. You have to win enough games to get you into the college football playoff. The campaign from SEC coaches to make the college football playoff an SEC invitational makes me be like, okay, then just break off then. Right? Like, if you just want to make it your own thing, just break off.
I'm tired of them with this constant threat of taking your ball and going home. Like, do it.
Yeah, I am too, honestly.
You know,
I am too. Get over it. You play in the SEC. I get it. A 9-3 SEC team probably is better than an 11-1 in, Virginia. Absolutely.
Are they not being told that they're special enough anymore? That it just means more enough anymore? Like, why? Why this constant whining? Because it is a form of whining, right? Now, I think there is some level of politicking involved in this, right? Lane is trying to do, you notice this, right? Lane's trying to do some of the Saban stuff where he's trying to be the voice on playoff reform.
I mean, everybody.
And there are plenty of people who have opinions.
A lot are doing it to some extent.
But you don't think he goes out of his way more often than the average coach?
My favorite thing is how the Saban mannerisms have rubbed off on coaches that have worked under him. Like, watch Lane Kiffin at a podium.
Banging his fist on the...
Watch Pete Golding, man. Like, Pete Golding yesterday, it's the hand movements. I mean, Saban to a T. And Golding worked for Saban at Alabama. Saban dug Pete Golding up. Nobody knew who he was. It was at Southern Miss, if I'm not mistaken. Brought him in on the defensive staff, throwing in an eye every now and then, right? Lane does the same thing with the hands, the Saban hands. That is so fascinating.
So he's got the Saban hands, but he's also doing the Saban bang the hands on the podium type of thing so you can hear it, and then you see the Coke bottle shake a little bit, the whole thing.
I love it.
Oh, my goodness. Daniel on YouTube says of SEC coaches and people associated with the SEC constantly talking about the difficulty of their 9-game conference schedule and all these different things, these constant threats of splitting off. He says, we live in a whining culture. Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. And it's just a matter of whether the whining is rewarded. I don't know if the whining in this particular case is going to be rewarded. It does not seem like there is anything immediate on the horizon. So it just kind of feels like they're shouting into the ether until something more definitive comes up, which is why I think it's annoying. Even if they're right. They're probably right to some extent. Like, there's some level of truth to what they're saying. I don't think they're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Anyway, Arkansas.
Good luck, Ryan Silverfield. I think he's a good coach. That schedule is going to be tough on Arkansas this year, man. They got to go to Utah. It's not a cakewalk in week 2.
I wish you would have just left it at good luck, and then we moved on to Mississippi State.
He's a good coach. They scooped him up from Memphis. He did a nice job at Memphis, but they got to play Georgia. They got to go to A&M. They play Tennessee. They go to Vanderbilt. They go to Auburn. They go to Texas. They host LSU to close out the season. Good luck and Godspeed, Ryan Silverfield.
And Mississippi State to put a bow on our one big thing for every SEC program.
I'm slightly intrigued by Mississippi State because I think Jeff Lebby's a good football coach. And Camario Taylor is an exciting quarterback prospect. Their schedule is manageable to take a step forward. Biggest non-conference opponent is Minnesota in week 2. They do have to go to LSU. They do have to go to Texas. They do have to play Alabama at home. But I'm intrigued to see what that Levy, part of that Heupel coaching tree, right? See how that offense takes another step in 2026. But otherwise, I'm not going to lie to you, not a whole lot terribly interesting about Mississippi State.
That's fine, too. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, you can do exactly that. We'll have Greg Cosell here in just a little bit. John is in Murfreesboro.
What's up, everybody? Long time no talk. First off, I hope Ryan Silverfield never wins another game. As your resident Memphis fan, I hope he never wins a game. I hope he gets beat so bad that Arkansas says, no, you're not worthy of your buyout. We're just going to bury you in a backfield somewhere.
Oh, goodness.
But I'm so tired of hearing about all these SEC coaches saying, expand the playoff, expand the playoff, expand the playoff. All these teams get $30, $40, $50 million a year anyway, because at least one team from the SEC is in it, and usually they're in the final. It should only be the champions of the conferences. Every Division I conference, I don't care if Sister Mary's of the Poor gets mollywopped by Tennessee, in the first round. I don't care. I'm so tired of rewarding the whining from these coaches that, our team won 9 games and we weren't good enough to get into the playoff. We'll do better. Everybody else in the world has to just do better. Why don't you?
Damn, right at a minute. I told Robert to get in there with the music.
I can appreciate it.
Well done.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, but their bosses are telling them to do this. Their athletic directors are telling them to do this. Why? Because it's easier to fundraise. Cosell next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Greg Cosell is kind enough to accommodate my schedule this morning to join us for a live edition of The Install. Greg, how we live in training camp. Teams are reporting across the league, starting to report across the league. We've got Arizona and Carolina already on the practice field. Titans next week. You excited?
I'm getting there. It's summer goes by too fast. Well, I guess it's still summertime, but it just seems like, to me, it doesn't seem like the season ended that long ago, but I guess it did.
Well, I think they do that by design anymore, buddy. I think that's evidenced by the fact that we're going to play a Super Bowl on Valentine's Day this year. I know they can't get enough of our time, so they're going to take the fight to Valentine's Day.
Well, it's the Labor Day thing, too, because Labor Day has become a college football weekend, and this year Labor Day is late, so the league doesn't start till the week after that, which is, I guess, pretty much is mid-September. Yeah. So the season starts late.
No question. So we'll have Titans training camp next week. We'll be doing the show live from Titans training camp for the duration. Greg will be here for joint camp against the Bears, which we're looking forward to see some high-level competition. Titans are doing 3 different joint training camp sessions with San Francisco, Seattle, and Chicago this year, Greg. Robert Saleh clearly seeing the value in that, and I'm sure it's different from coach to coach, but I know that that's the best version of the competition that we get during training camp.
Yeah, and I think coaches, what'll be interesting as you play the games, the preseason games, is how much they'll play players in the preseason games, given that coaches tend to like the joint practices more than the games themselves. So it'll be interesting to see what that means for the number of plays that some of these younger players end up playing in the games themselves.
So you and I, you had brought up doing an exercise here in the next couple of weeks or the next couple of podcasts about the process of preparing a quarterback. So I guess from the starting point, which is a little bit of a different exercise than you and I have done, but that's fun. So I guess what brought this idea into your head first and foremost?
Well, I was asked, and this went back, in June, I believe it was. I was asked to make a presentation to college quarterbacks because, as you know, college quarterbacks can now have agents. So an agent friend and a former NFL coach who's now working with the agent who's a quarterback coach for the most part. They asked me to come down. It was in Dallas to make a presentation to college quarterbacks about the quarterback position. And so I went down and did it and obviously prepared for it and really thought about the position, which I do anyway. But obviously, when you're making an hour presentation, you're not winging it. So I put together a lot of notes for that. And, I've been taught the quarterback position, obviously, by really smart people, first and foremost among them, Bill Walsh, but many others through the years. Quarterback, when you talk to coaches, as you well know, you've talked to a lot of coaches yourself over the years, quarterback fans might look at it on Sunday as, you got to go out and make plays. But that's not the way the position is thought of or taught by coaches. When I sit and watch tape, I can't tell you how many times I see poor quarterback play simply because the basic fundamentals of the position in a number of different areas are not executed properly. And it all starts there. So, we can go through some of that if you like, because obviously, I made a ton of notes. I have my notes. And I think about this all the time when I'm watching tape. In fact, this is my last week of watching college tape. Starting Monday, I'm going to be, diving headfirst into the NFL, getting back into that mode. But, even when I watch a lot of these college quarterbacks, I just think to myself, if the fundamentals were just right, there wouldn't be issues with some of these throws that you miss. And, I'm not sure how many people think about that.
No, and I think people are so thirsty for more information about why things happen in football the way that they do, because there's so many things that are outside of an individual's control once the ball is snapped, right? There is some level of control, but for the most part, it can go haywire at any point in any play because you're asking 11 guys to do one thing and 11 other guys to do another thing, and chaos usually ensues in some form or fashion. But there is so much science, so much technique especially with that quarterback position. So, yeah, I would love to go through your notebook today, Greg. Where would you like to start?
Yeah. And by the way, you hit on a great point. So since there are things you can't control, you must be as precise as you can be in the things you can control. And think about it, someone like Tom Brady, arguably the best quarterback ever to play. What did he do every offseason? And unfortunately, his quarterback coach, I believe, has since passed away. But he would go out to California, and I believe the gentleman's name was Tom Martinez. And every offseason, he would go out there and just work again and again on his fundamentals, repetitive mechanics. So, it all starts with that. I mean, I don't think people think a whole lot about taking the snap from center, whether you're under center or shotgun, the footwork on the drop and set in the pocket. Are there extra steps that you take that negatively impact your ability to throw with timing? Does that make you a beat or two late? These are all important things. When you drop back into the pocket, are you staying on what we call the midline, or are you drifting to the right or to the left, which impacts the timing of the play and the ability of the offensive line to protect? There are sacks that are made where people just assume the offensive line did a bad job, where the quarterback drifted to the right or to the left, and he basically creates his own pressure by doing that because the offensive line is blocking as if he's dropping straight back on the midline. So, these are initial things. Then are you stepping toward the throw? We're so used now to talking about these quarterbacks that can throw off platform. Hey, that's great if it's demanded, but if it's not demanded, you should be stepping toward the throw. Are you transferring your weight? Is there some kind of core torque where you then can drive the football? What terms that they use are clearance, transition, balance, and weight transfer. All these things factor into how you throw a football, and unless the defense dictates otherwise, this is the way you should be throwing a football.
Do you, Greg, and I'm sure, it's not I can't make a blanket statement about it because all these programs, all these coaches are different in the way that they approach it, but there are themes, right, that carry over in the college football just as there are themes in the NFL year over year. When you're talking about stepping into throws and making sure that you're throwing from the proper platform versus the off-platform stuff, I Cam Ward obviously pops into my head, but so does, Patrick Mahomes in moments or Jaden Daniels. There's a number of quarterbacks who have the ability to make those kind of throws. Do you find that young guys when you're speaking to these college quarterbacks specifically, do you see necessarily a light turn on when you're talking about some of this stuff? Do you feel that they're being coached thoroughly enough at the college level in the same way that we talk about offensive line technique not necessarily being something that's harped upon in the college game versus what it is? Again, an incredibly, I believe you called it an academic position the last time we talking about the offensive line.
Well, I can't answer that specifically with, college coaches because I'm not there, and I'm not going to sit here and denigrate college coaches. I don't know what they teach and what they don't teach. We know that they don't have as much time as NFL coaches to really work with quarterbacks' fundamentals. For instance, I can tell you for a fact, just from being there at the minicamp, the mandatory minicamp for the Titans, that they've worked very hard this offseason on Cam Ward's mechanics because there was sort of a disconnect between his lower body mechanics and his upper body mechanics and the way he threw the ball. So, coaches are aware of that. In the NFL, you can work on that more and more. We all get excited when quarterbacks like Mahomes, like Allen, like Lamar Jackson, make those off-schedule plays. They're exciting to watch. But that can't be the foundation of the way you play. You need a foundation, and then before you even get into how you see a defense, you need to have the fundamental proper way to throw the football and do that every time unless the defense dictates otherwise. But, getting to some other points, you often hear the term anticipation, right? We hear that all the time when we talk about quarterbacks. Can a quarterback throw with anticipation? So what is the definition of anticipation? The definition of anticipation at the NFL level, now not in the college game where the field and the symmetry of the field is totally different because the hash marks are wider, but in the college game where the hash marks are closer together, anticipation is, the way it would be defined is this. Is the receiver going to be open? That's the definition of anticipation at the NFL level. So you need to have an understanding of that. So you need to then get to the point where are you seeing the field correctly based on the route concepts versus the coverage. That dictates whether you can play with that sense of anticipation of whether the receiver is going to be open. Because if you wait for a receiver that extra beat or two, Buck, as you well know in the NFL, then you're late. And in the NFL, particularly if you're throwing the ball between the numbers, which is much of the NFL game, unlike the college game, if you're throwing the ball between the numbers in the NFL, you cannot be late. And we're talking about milliseconds now. It's a game of milliseconds.
How much harder has the throws between the numbers become, Greg, with the way the defenses have evolved?
It's harder because there's less of what we call sort of landmark zone concepts, which, by the way, Robert Saleh is a firm believer in, and he's obviously done an excellent job as an NFL D coordinator. But there's less of those zone concepts as there are more what we call matchup zone concepts, where they match a receiver, they carry him, they deliver him to someone else, because the whole point of that concept, which is more of the Vic Fangio school of defense, not that he created it, but that's part of the Vic Fangio school of defense. So there's less voids, there's less soft spots in coverage, because that style of defense is meant to take away those voids. So it becomes even harder for quarterbacks. I mean, quarterback's a very, very difficult position to play in the NFL. The changing nature of defense, the evolution of defense. Like I said, it's a game of milliseconds. Everything happens really quick. You can't be sitting in the pocket waiting for receivers to break open. You can't be, the term that I use, you can't be a see it, throw it quarterback. If you're waiting to see it and then throw it, you're too late.
You and I had a discussion maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, about the evolution of defenses specifically, and how you could make the argument, and you can tell me if I'm misconstruing what you said, but that you could make the argument that interior defensive line has become as important as any position on the defensive side of the ball, with the way that teams and defensive coordinators are choosing to approach and adapt to offensive systems. What's the most important defensive evolution you've seen in the last couple of years that has brought about that change?
Well, I think what's brought about that change is the increase in the number of two high safety structures. If we go back not even that long to, let's say, the Legion of Boom with the Seahawks, and obviously they had phenomenal personnel, but they played what we call cover three, meaning there's a single high safety. That was Earl Thomas. The other safety, Cam Chancellor, was just, for want of this discussion, almost a glorified linebacker. So he lined up at the second level of the defense, not on the back end. And they had such great personnel. And for 4 or 5 years, Earl Thomas was clearly the best post safety in the game. But then teams figured out how to really attack and break down cover three, no matter the quality of the personnel. So what teams started to do to really try to take away the big plays that you get down the seams, because when you play cover three, the seams are available. So teams started to play a lot more what we call two high safety structures, where they'd have two safeties that were deeper, not necessarily 15 or 20 yards deep, but they were just two deep safeties. You didn't just have one deep safety. So that took away the seams. So what that means, Buck, is this. That means that there's one less defender in the run game, because that safety who was in the box is now playing on the back end. So now you have to stop the run with one less player. So D tackles become increasingly important now in stopping the run. We saw that this year with a team like Seattle. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. One reason they won the Super Bowl, their defense. Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, Jaron Reed, a D tackle rotation that was as good as any in the league. A lot of the good defenses, the Eagles, for instance, with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, a very good defense. That's obviously Vic Fangio. So the defensive tackle position is becoming increasingly important as a result of the fact that there's more two high safety structure coverage looks.
You can tell that this is the part that Greg really enjoys, the tactics, the chess match of it. As far as going into this season, obviously, Greg, we can't be predictive in what trends may come about. We've seen, I know you were talking as early as anybody that I can remember about the the way that Sean McVay was using additional tight ends early on in the season, and how they were able to deploy a number of different plays from similar looks and also support the run game, where they've had so much success helping Matthew Stafford out on the ground en route to an MVP season. What kind of questions are you heading into this season as far as the offensive and defensive ebb and flow of this thing, right? Because it's a constant evolution the way that these coaches are game planning against one another.
And I think that speaks now to how defenses will react to that, because almost always if a team puts 3 tight ends out on the field, and keep in mind that someone like Ben Johnson drafted a tight end in the 3rd round this year. 3rd round is not a throwaway pick. And we know he has Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. So if he's drafting a tight end in the 3rd round, are we going to see more what we call 13 personnel, meaning 3 tight ends with Ben Johnson? And the reason teams do that is almost always you're going to get from the defense what we call base defense. Now, base defense can mean a lot of different things. There's a lot more of what we call big nickel in the league, where teams are playing with 5 defensive backs, but 3 of them are safeties. That's what the Seahawks did with Nick Emenwari. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. So now defenses have to decide, how do they want to play 3 tight ends? Do they want to stay in their base defense, which often gives an offense advantages in the pass game? Do they want to, put out there, some kind of nickel? And then the run game becomes a factor because, it depending on who that big nickel safety is. So now you have the chess match there between how defenses want to play versus 3 tight ends and what offenses can do with 3 tight ends, depending on who they are. Because someone like Colston Loveland obviously you can line him up anywhere. He's almost like a big wide receiver.
It's crazy to me how much smarter our conversations are when I ask you 3 or 4 short questions and then just get the hell out of the way.
Well, this is the stuff I think about all the time. People probably think I'm nuts, but, this is what I do every day.
We do think you're nuts, but we love you for it. That's Greg Cosell of NFL Films, the NFL Matchup Show, not too far in the distant future, because football season is right around the corner. I know Greg and the crew have been preparing for the upcoming season. Buddy, thank you for making some adjustments for me today, and appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Buck. Appreciate it.
That is the great Greg Cosell of NFL Films. And yes, that is in fact what he does all the time. 615-737-1045, the number. We'll get into some of Pete Golding's comments from yesterday in Tampa at SEC Media Days coming up next. How are we feeling about Pete Golding at Ole Miss? SEC Media Days going on. Ole Miss went yesterday. Pete Golding probably had the most to say of any of these coaches that have been at the podium so far, Lucas?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's gotten more interesting as the week has gone on. The first year
they
coaches
definitely backloaded it.
Yeah, they did. Like they're like, let's
get Golding.
Let's get Heupel out of the way.
Yeah.
Golding was good. The first year coaches have been good. Ryan Silverfield's had some juice today with Arkansas. John Summerall. We played the audio of the guy's phone going off and Summerall going at him.
Tom Crean freaked out about it.
And he's not the only one. People are furious about that. And I didn't really get it. I thought it was a very harmless and kind of funny little insight. John Summerall just kind of showing who he is as a coach, bringing us into the locker room. Like Tom Crean, if anyone didn't see it, tweeted the former.
I've got it in front of me. If you don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, he is the former Indiana basketball coach who's now doing games on ESPN. Quote, he can't be serious on embarrassing that person. He's speaking about Summerall. He's quote tweeted a video from the next round of John Summerall kind of going at somebody for whose phone went off in the press conference. He can't be serious on embarrassing that person. Do you think they meant for the phone to go off? ? Did it really need that performative action? At least you got laughs at that person's expense. They don't work for you or play for you. Their job is important to them too. Well, I appreciate Tom Crean sticking up for us.
I don't know. I was just like, dude,
it was a very weird reaction.
Like, it's not that deep. I don't think he was like meaningfully trying to embarrass the guy.
I would invite Tom Crean to watch any Mike Vrabel press conference ever.
Yeah,
or frankly, like Aaron Glenn or any of these dudes. The NFL coaches are wildly dismissive of the media, and I understand why. Sometimes we ask some stupid questions, and maybe our questions are ill-timed from time to time. But if he thinks that's bad, I got something to show him.
But he wasn't the only one handing out criticism. Like, I don't know. Just how seriously people took that kind of stunned me.
Football is back.
I guess so. But
I don't know. No, it's weird. Even if he was doing it to be performative, like, what's the problem with that?
Yeah, like, we had an entertaining moment at Media Days. Like, we should appreciate those. And I
promise you that was more interesting than just about anything else that happened yesterday.
Yeah, the pearl clutching over that kind of stunned me.
Yeah, somebody tell Dawn to turn her phone off.
Yeah, that was interesting. But Pete Golding was excellent.
So, what Pete Golding quotes do we have back there? Because I know he had several that caught people's attention. He's asked, of course, a lot about his relationship with Lane Kiffin. And that is what we have to play for you right now.
Look, I get this everywhere we go. So we're on our caravan tour right now with Ole Miss. So we go every Tuesday and Thursday and take a couple players and go around the country. So we go Q&A with everybody. So it's everybody's tell me how you really feel about them. They're like this intimate, environment. But Lane and I are good. So, I did not know Coach Kiffin prior to taking the Ole Miss job. I think everybody just assumes Alabama. I wasn't at Alabama when Coach Kiffin was, So I didn't come to Ole Miss because of Coach Kiffin. I came to Ole Miss to be at Ole Miss to raise 3 kids. So, our relationship really grew in those 3.5 years, and he did a lot for me, and I was very, very appreciative of how he treated me and my family, and learned a lot from him. So I have no ill will towards Coach Kiffin. He texts me on a regular basis, and there's certain things that we'll talk about, and there are certain things that we don't talk about. He's very competitive, just like I'm very competitive, right? And so obviously a lot of this went a different direction when now he had a new job with new responsibilities, and he's going to be super competitive to be the best that he can at that job, right, which is his job. And so I can separate the two. I know some people can't. I tell a lot of these people, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't care. All right. Like I told an Ole Miss group the other day at 21, I said, all right, in 2021, if you said you could look in 2025 and you're about to be 11-1 and go to the playoff, would you take it if your coach was leaving? They're like, hell yeah. I was like, you would. Everybody won from it. It's okay. Keith, you made a great hire. You did a great job. Every place isn't for everybody. That's coaches, that's players, that's your job, that's everything. And that's okay, And so throughout the process, I'll be the first one to tell you, I told him I always think he was dumb if he was to leave. I wanted him to stay. That was a selfish decision because I love being the DC where I was at, right? But he decided what was better for him and his family, and that's for him to decide. So I have no ill will towards him at all right? Wish him the best of luck. We play him like every other SEC team, and we're going to both show up and spot the ball and play. So, I talk to him on a regular basis, but no ill will at all, right? And really appreciative of how he treated me and my family. And then this created an unbelievable opportunity for me as well on top that I really wasn't looking for, but so appreciative to have.
So that's Pete Golding yesterday at the podium on Lane Kiffin. He also had a bit of a rant about tampering in college football, of course, of which he has been famously a part of. He also talked, did you see about what he said to Lacey and to Chambliss when they were considering the transfer portal?
Yeah, this was a great quote. Do you have this?
Yes, I do. It's a ridiculous quote. It's a little bit long, but stay with me. The payoff's worth it. Quote, football's going to end. What are you going to use? You got to use an alumni base to be able to get you a job. Where are you going to bring your kids to? What jersey are they wearing? Y'all two created a legacy in one season that's going to be hard for anybody to overtake. And for what's going on now, for Coach Kiffin to leave, go Google Lane Kiffin. I had them both do it in my office. Google Lane Kiffin. The dude they'd have built a statue of here 3 days ago. Google his name right now. They wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. They'll do the same thing to y'all if you leave. But if you come out and say, I'm going to continue to build on the legacy I've created, that's what that's going to do for you and this fan base and the alumni for the rest of your life. I don't give a bleep where you go or what they pay you. You'll never amount to that much.
Pretty good.
There's a lot of truth in it, right?
And I wonder if we don't see more kids now that we're through that first phase, those first few years of the portal era.
I don't know.
Where kids are just bouncing and just going all over the place.
It just seems exhausting.
Right. If we don't see more kids kind of look at, because how many of these kids, their career ends and you look back at their college football kind of legacy and there just isn't one.
Brother, the last two or three drafts, when I'm going back and looking at highlights of these guys and they're in one jersey and then they're in the next jersey and then they're in a third jersey and it's a different number and I'm like, I can't keep up on a normal basis. This is too much.
Like Cam Ward, right? And Cam's different because Cam wasn't like chasing paychecks. He was going up a level and up a level and up a level.
And then
he got the paychecks.
Got the paycheck, yeah.
But he goes from Incarnate Word to Washington State and Miami.
Yeah.
And he's remembered fondly at all of those places. But that's an anomaly, right? He's remembered fondly because he got there and he continued to raise the level of the program, and it was capped off by that incredible individual season he had at Miami.
He's got a very singular lane there because Miami was in a spot where they needed somebody to help get them turned around, and he started the real turnaround. Like the U was back stuff has significantly more meaning in a post-Cam Ward world.
But I just wonder if more kids are going to take that into account now that we're getting used to these guys getting paid and having the opportunity to go wherever they want. But to stay and try to build something, build a legacy somewhere, the way Ty Simpson did at Alabama, right? Like Ty Simpson could have made more money this year in college football than he's going to make this year in the NFL. Had he gone to Miami or any one of the schools that offered him that reported $6 million figure. But he said, no, I'm an Alabama quarterback. I want that legacy to end at Alabama, which I can greatly respect. I just wonder if it's not something we start to see a little more of as maybe we regress to the mean just slightly deeper into this era of NIL and the portal.
And see, I wonder if it could also be explained in the inverse. Like if you weren't that big of a deal, but you were big enough that people knew your name. An example, Oregon defensive lineman Bear Alexander. He has played for 3 of the most prominent college football teams.
Georgia, USC.
And now he's at Oregon.
Yeah.
On a star-studded offensive line. I was talking with Greg maybe 2 weeks ago about him scouting the defensive line. And, I mean, that dude, he's probably going to be – I don't know how teams feel. I mean, Georgia probably isn't going to smile on him leaving after his freshman year. But he spent 2 years at USC. Now he has spent 2 years at Oregon. I wonder if he can't go to each one of them and get a piece of the pie as an alumni. Be like, oh, we're going to have Bear Alexander host our tailgate party at USC. Oh, but then he's also hosting a tailgate party at Oregon the next week against USC.
Well, it's NFL, right? Like you've got Wesley Woodyard, who is very well respected with the Broncos, but Titans fans also love him. You've got Derrick Henry, who is beloved by Titans fans, and now Ravens fans get to call him theirs for a period of time, and he'll be respected for both franchises because of what he's accomplished for both already in his career. So, this exists, right? It's just the extreme of year over year over year type of stuff, where you've got players with, I would say, a fair amount of regularity changing. We have free agency in college football every year. We have free agency in college basketball every year. It's nuts. It's completely nuts. I don't have. Do you feel like there's maybe you feel differently about it than I do, but like I feel less of an attachment to Indiana basketball because how often their roster turns over.
Yeah. Jalen Carey, right, was at Tennessee last year.
Yeah.
Starts at JMU, follows Mark Byington to Vanderbilt, transfers to Tennessee, and now he's going to play for Missouri.
Yeah.
Four teams in 4 years.
I'm telling you.
If you're Jalen Carey, where do you go when you're going back to for homecoming weekend?
So help me God, if Tucker DeVries shows up at homecoming, I'm going to be so mad.
You better get ready for it.
Get him out of here.
He's going to be an assistant coach.
He already is.
You act like he's still going to be taking shots, too, even when he's not a scholarship player. Celeb shot, clang.
Celeb layup that just rolls out.
That would be great.
I can't stand him.
I'll bring back my idea. I think every college football team should be able to designate a football lifer, a guy who is not good enough to go to the NFL, and they just extend his eligibility through the whole thing.
Yeah, but then South Carolina will do some nonsense again, like pull the janitor out. What was the South Carolina deal where they had like a 30-year-old on the roster?
He was a
East
GA.
Carolina in Greenville
Yeah,
on a fluky field goal.
He was a GA on the coaching staff that had a little bit of eligibility.
You mean Eastern Carolina?
Had to play. Too far.
It's tough.
Famously.
We were walking them down, dude. You can't even beat ECU. You win 20-17, loser. But then if you had lifers, wouldn't have to worry about this. Tucker DeVries could play for Indiana the rest of his life.
Mike Woodson, lifer coach. Tucker DeVries, lifer guard.
Just have like a 35-year-old coming off the bench. That would be so sick.
God.
That would be so sick. Arkansas State has like a 42-year-old center who's just not going to hang it up.
Oklahoma State was doing this before everybody with Whedon, right? Brandon Whedon was the first generation of this. Little did we know, all of college football would be Brandon Whedon.
I mean, no, it happened every now and again where, like, Brandon Whedon took the path that Chris Winkie did at Florida State, where he started in baseball, and that's why he was in his late 20s when he left college football.
Same thing for Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst was a pitcher in the major leagues and then was like, I want to play football, and went and played football at South Carolina for a couple years.
Hayden Hurst not still in the league, right?
No, he retired. He does a lot of work with mental health stuff now. I think he works with Dak Prescott's organization.
I remember that being a big part of his story. 615-737-1045, the number if you want to jump in. There's an interesting, speaking of college sports and things that are different in the modern era, there's something going on at SMU with their quarterback that is worth mentioning. We'll tell you what. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone.
It is 12:01. Good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs 104.5 The Zone studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. Final day of SEC Media Days. LSU, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Texas rounded out. 3HL is live at 3 for the last time in Tampa this week, presented by eSpaces and Wholesale Supply. Meanwhile, Tennessee football got some big news yesterday with the commitment of five-star running back David Gabriel George out of Baylor School in Chattanooga, picking up the Tennessee hat over Ohio State and Ole Miss. He is one of the highest-rated recruits in the Josh Heupel era. DGG heads into his final season at Baylor in 2026. Rookies are reporting today to Titans training camp. Vets will report next week before practice gets underway. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour is upon us. We're happy to have you, Robert, Lucas, and me, until 1 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate in the conversation at any point. In this final hour, the F&M Bank chat is also available to you for you to live stream the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. If you're hanging out on YouTube today, like and subscribe to the channel. So, there's an active college football quarterback whose school just named part of its facility after him. Lucas, or who brought this story to our attention? Robert?
Out of Pappy.
So, Kevin Jennings.
That's good. If you know, you know.
Such a good movie.
I need to give it a rewatch. I am Pappy.
When you guys know I got a beach trip coming up in August. Oh, I haven't talked about it too much ad nauseum to you guys. I'm so excited. Can't wait to fish.
Happy for you.
And every time we have one of these trips, draft weekend or whatever, everyone makes an Excel spreadsheet of movies that we would like to watch or have on in the background while we are there. I added Life yesterday. Life is just such a class. I mean, you don't even really have to watch it. You can pop in and out. Also, I don't know if Ron claims this, but the originator of the Boom Boom Room is from Life. Ray's Boom Boom Room.
Oh, controversy. Controversy.
I think Slay's just borrowing it. The Boom Boom Room was never a real place for him.
He's got T-shirts.
When did that movie come out?
It's real. For Slay's Boom Boom Room is real. Ray's is a fabrication. It's like a story on the boat to pass time. Like, oh, when I get back, wait till y'all see my woman.
Which of them have a brick and mortar Boom Boom Room proper?
Slay.
Okay.
Slay actually has a Boom Boom Room.
That movie did come out in 99, right at the start of Slay's Tennessee basketball career.
There's some branding. There's a branding situation here.
Such a good movie. I don't feel like it gets brought up when you talk about, like, Eddie Murphy's top movies. Like
Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, I feel like I wish they had done more together.
I agree with that.
I wish Bernie Mac was still alive.
Don't get me started, man. Growing up, like when I thought I wanted to be a comedian, like when I was actually writing jokes and stuff, I loved Bernie. Like his, I ain't scared of y'all. I can't say what he actually said, but
I know.
So good.
Loved the Bernie Mac show. Loved the Bernie Mac show.
You talk about background noise. He was like, if my father was black. Like talking about like I don't like these kids, like the way he would just like talk to them. I'd laugh so hard because it's like my dad. My dad was exactly like that.
Outstanding. Well, he is. Your dad
Very
is
much alive.
Still with us.
He's my pappy.
Okay. Just making sure. So Kevin Jennings is the starting quarterback at SMU. 2 years in, they're naming their recovery center after him. It will officially open inside SMU's new $150 million football facility. Apparently, they have been working on this for some time. It is unprecedented, and Rhett Lashley, the coach of SMU, said as much to The Athletic in a recent interview. 2 years. So in this reporting from The Athletic, 2 years ago, a $5 million donation landed Patrick Mahomes' name on the team meeting room in Texas Tech's new $242 million facility. However, he'd been gone for almost a decade. Ndamukong Suh's $2.6 million donation meant Nebraska's new weight room adopted his namesake, but that was 5 years after he played his last snap. Jennings is believed to be the first active college football player to have a piece of his team's facility named after him while he's still a student. Do they not have to disclose the amount of money that he donated?
I mean, is that what it is? Is it based on a donation? I don't know that for sure. I mean, according to Ross Dellinger, it's the performance space, the place that they're naming him for, was made possible through the support of donors by the name of Ann and Malcolm Holland. Like, there's no reporting that it comes out of a donation made by Kevin Jennings. I don't know what he makes in NIL, but I don't know that it's enough to just shell out millions and millions to put his name on a building.
Quote, "We just thought it would be so cool for him to still be playing here and get to experience some of the legacy he created, and he's not finished."
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, he's had back-to-back really productive seasons for SMU. He's led them to a college football playoff in 2024 when they lost to Penn State. But I'm not as in tune with SMU football. I know him to be a good player, but is he that highly? Is he going to leave SMU as one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of SMU football, I guess?
I'm from Dallas. I'm a Dallas kid born and raised. Why would I want to go anywhere else and leave a legacy? Well, this goes back to our earlier conversation, right? Leaving a legacy at the college football program or college program that you played the bulk of your career for, if you do have the bulk of your career played at any one spot anymore in modern college athletics. Why would I want to go anywhere else and leave a legacy there when I can do it here?
Maybe.
So they've won 20 games together in 2 seasons. It's the best era in the past 40 years, basically since the Pony Express.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Total reckless speculation here, but could this have been a way to get him to not go somewhere? You stay, we'll put your name on a building.
I was just getting ready to ask you if you thought it was included in his NIL deal.
I mean, I don't know. It is completely unprecedented.
So instead of taking donations to name things after an alumni, now you're setting a precedent for naming buildings after players you're trying to keep? Again, recklessly speculating there. Thank you, Blaine.
I mean, you look at
Jesus,
the numbers and what SMU has not done since the Pony Express. Yeah, I guess Kevin Jennings is going to leave SMU as an SMU legend, but still, it's kind of like, man, dude still has another season to play.
Is there a player not named Reggie White or Peyton Manning that you would be okay with naming a part of an athletic department building after while they were still playing at Tennessee?
Can't wait for the DDG Food City Center.
That's next year when he tries to leave.
Like Eric Berry? I mean, I guess then
while he was playing, though.
Right. I mean, he was like one of the biggest recruits in Vol history, right?
He's still one of the best players to ever play there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. Like, is there a player for Tennessee that you wouldn't have batted an eye at? I mean, the thing about Reggie White and Peyton is that their legacy has been so inflated by what they also did after their career. And Reggie White in the ministry and in his NFL career. Yeah. And so that's a good point. That legend just grows year after year.
They were way better pro players than they were college players, and they were both good college players.
They were elite of the elite college players.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know many programs where this type of thing would happen.
The real hero or humble hero in all of this is Malcolm and Ann Holland. Because they probably could have smacked their names on this thing. And in a world where owners are lifting trophies before coaches and players that get them, names of kids who've never smacked a puck is going on the Stanley Cup. And these guys are like, put his name on it. People would rather see his name on it than Malcolm and Ann Holland.
What I would do for that, because they did that to the Indiana basketball arena a couple years ago. It was forever just Assembly Hall. And
Oh,
that was
yeah,
okay.
now it's got some random
Simon
name.
Scott, but Scott is spelled SKJODT.
Yeah.
The Simon Scott Assembly Hall, and I think it was like a $45 million donation to renovate Assembly Hall. So, like, if you renovate the basketball facility, you get the basketball facility naming rights. Like, I do understand that in principle, but if they had done something like named it Robert Montgomery Knight Assembly Hall, Bobby Knight Assembly Hall, people would have lost their minds.
Why?
Nobody, when you donate, because Bobby Knight is the most beloved figure in Indiana basketball history, no matter how polarizing.
They lost
he
their
is.
mind in a good way. Like
Yeah.
they would have been. Okay.
My
okay.
grandma is very upset that it is not named Robert Montgomery Knight Assembly Hall.
It has to be some sort of NIL incentive, right? You come back next year, one more ride with SMU. This is the money. We're going to put your name on a building. You will go down as an SMU legend. Your legacy will remain here forever.
This is tough, though, because it's like retiring numbers. Like, at some point, you're going to run out of numbers. And I guess you can keep building college buildings, but, like, you can only do this so many times. And maybe he's a significant enough player. Again, it's since the Pony Express. It's the most successful run of college football and winning at SMU in, I don't know, what is it, 20 years? More than 20 years?
Yeah, his record as a starter is 19-7. He went 9-2 as a starter in 2024, 9-4 in 2025.
19-7, get your name on a building, though?
Got them to the college football playoff.
I know, Lucas, but damn.
I'm with you. I mean, it's fascinating to say the
There's
least.
only so many buildings.
They fell short of winning the ACC championship. Remember, they lost to Clemson. It was a crazy game. Clemson came back and won. SMU still got into the playoff, and then they got blown out by Penn State.
Imagine there's some language in this thing like, we do reserve the right to take your name off of it if a better quarterback prospect comes around in, 3 to 5 years.
I
Like,
bet there's a contract, like a 10-year naming license thing.
Right.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy.
I need more details on this.
Do you guys know? Why would you know? You guys don't care. It's an inferior conference. Why? Where do you think SMU ranks in terms of odds to win the ACC championship?
Where do I think they rank? I'd put them 5th.
I'll say third.
Second, plus 700.
Miami won.
Miami
won by a mile, right?
minus 136. So yes. A heavy favorite to repeat.
Who's 3?
SMU is at plus 700. Louisville is at plus 800.
Where's Clemson?
Clemson is following Louisville at plus 1,400. In 5th place, Virginia with plus 1,600.
Where's Duke? The two ACC championship game participants.
Oh, you're going to ruin my bid. I was going to go through every single one of them. But if you're asking about Duke, Duke is plus 6,000. James Franklin at Virginia Tech plus 2,800. North Carolina, Bill Belichick at plus 15 grand.
What's he doing?
Boston College is plus 50 grand.
Is there any optimism around him? I saw he was selling hard at ACC Media Days.
It is not looking good because, the first question.
He kept talking about preaching culture and how important it is for everybody to be on the same page in the building. I saw somebody tweet the quote and say, your girlfriend literally FOIA, Freedom of Information acted your athletic department last year.
So the results for North Carolina last year were not great, but because Bill Belichick was telling everyone, trust the process. I want to build this thing from the ground up. This isn't a 1-year service plan. I'm going to do this for a long time. And he brought in somewhat like 65 freshmen, not transfer portal players, 65 freshmen to go along with like 20 other, like almost basically a brand new roster. So you would think, hey, okay, maybe he's going to there are another 50 brand new faces on this team again. So last year, you gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was growing it. He was going to build the culture with rookies, with freshmen, essentially. And then half of them leave. So, no, it's not looking great for Bill Belichick.
They were going to be the 33rd team. Remember that?
Yeah.
How pissed was the actual 33rd team that they stole their brand name?
The website?
The website.
Do you guys know who their OC is? Do you guys remember?
Is it Freddie Kitchen?
Similar.
Hold on. Oh.
Bill O'Brien? No, he's at Boston College still.
Nuts.
Older guy.
No, I think Bill O'Brien's. Is he still at BC?
I think he's still at Boston College.
If I gave you Bobby.
Slowick?
Petrino.
What?
Oh, my God, yes.
What?
Yes.
Bobby Petrino is Bill Belichick's offense.
We're going to take this into the next generation, and the man that's going to help me do that.
The future.
The fart in the wind himself. Bobby Petrino. Come on down.
Who's this DC?
It's his
Gene
kid, isn't it?
Chiswick. I don't know. I was just
No,
saying.
Gene Chiswick is still on
He's
TV.
on TV.
I was just saying another old goober.
Well, Gene Chiswick was there, right?
He was.
In like the last couple of years of Mac Brown, and they were awful.
And
They
who
had a
was
terrible
the
defense.
buff hot coach they had before Mac came back? I want to say Larry Fedora, but I don't think
Oh,
was it Larry Fedora. He's a good-looking dude. I think Gene was his DC.
Steve Belichick is the DC.
yeah, I said his kid. Goodness.
It was Larry Fedora.
Larry Fedora. 615-737-1045 is the number. Well, I love that we can just start naming buildings for athletes that we want to keep on our rosters. DGG Food City Center. How pissed would the basketball team be? Be like, hey, we kind of already have this general's name on the stadium.
We'll name them after boats. You know, out there on the Vol Navy. I mean, like, just fans will just
Sign here, you get your own boat.
Yeah, we'll just name boats after them. Let them take all the money from the pregame
What's
festivities.
Chaz Coleman's boat's name?
No, you can't go away from it now. We got to come up with one.
I just brought the whole thing to a screeching halt.
I'll work on it.
We'll ask Adam
We
Sparks.
can get him. Oh, that's right.
Next. Been a while since I've heard the dulcet tones of Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel on the radio show. It's SEC Media Days, and Adam joins us now. How we living, buddy?
Not bad. First time I've been home for a while. So just getting broke back in, getting ready for the season, or at least I guess fall camp, preseason camp, whatever we're calling it these days.
Yeah, something. It's all about to be on our doorstep before long in college football and the NFL. So you were doing a little bit of double duty for the USA Today network. You're getting back to some of your roots with a little bit of Vanderbilt coverage as well. As far as storylines that you went into SEC Media Day specific to the Vols to learn more about, what did you go into it with and what did you come away with?
Well, I mean, the obvious question is quarterback. It's the one that I wanted to ask Josh Heupel the most about. I would say he changed his answer just a little bit of how his approach seems to have been before this about quarterback. You know, we know Josh Heupel does not want to rotate quarterbacks. He's not that type of guy. He wants to get with a guy and stick with him, and that's still his desire. That being said, when I asked him about that, he hedged a little bit and said, well, you know, we've done it different ways. You know, you could see both guys getting snaps. He seemed to indicate the idea that whoever he starts the season with wouldn't necessarily be the guy he finishes with. That was sort of reading between the lines. And I think that's there's a couple things there. I think one of them is he's still remembering back to when he started Joe Milton in 2021 and then went to Hendon Hooker, and that worked out well, so he needs to sort of leave that door open. I think the other part of it is he's not sure who his starter is right now. You know, 60-40, I'd say it's probably Faison Brandon, but 60-40s at best. I think it's still George McIntyre's job to take if he can get it. So, you know, with that indecision there, with that unknown, I think Josh Heupel does know that there's a chance that game film could actually determine who your long-term starter is, and not just whoever they choose in fall camp.
You, as a reporter, obviously, a tremendous amount of your work is done behind the scenes. You're having different conversations, you're following up on things, you're confirming things, what have you. So it's not just the stuff that you get at press conferences or media availabilities that you're able to work with, but he seems like a particularly difficult figure to read between the lines on, given just how flat his delivery is on just about everything.
Yeah, well, the thing with Josh is, so one of the things you get at SEC Media Days is you can sort of see coaches and players interact with other media members they don't see usually, and then you can get takes from other media members. And what I seem to see, especially with a lot of the national reporters, is them presenting to Josh Heupel that they think Faison Brandon is going to be the starter, and sort of looking for him to confirm that. Now, he didn't, but I think that's sort of my read on it, that there's so much of an assumption that Faison Brandon is the guy. Josh Heupel is not going around and telling people that Faison Brandon is going to be the starter. But those that think he's going to be, I think, have not gotten any pushback from Josh Heupel, so they're then assuming that. I'll just say, and I've said it a few times over the past week, I don't think Josh Heupel knows who his starting quarterback is, and I think that's all that matters. He's probably going to know. I think give him some truth serum, and he could probably tell you who he thinks is going to be the guy. But I think both guys have a shot. He does not know which guy's going to be the starter, and I think that's the important part of this.
Adam Sparks, the Knoxville News Sentinel, here with us on 104.5 The Zone.
Does Clark Lee, in your mind, know, maybe more so than Josh Heupel, who his starter is going to be in Week 1?
Well, he would like, I think, Jared Curtis to be the guy because of the skill set, because of the resources that were put into getting Jared Curtis. The thing that I asked Clark Lee about that is not more so who he thinks is going to be the starter, because we know Jared Curtis will eventually be the starter, whether that's game 1 or game 4 or late in the year or whatever. We kind of assume that because he's a 5-star talent. He needs to be out there. But my interest was more in, does Clark Lee feel the pressure that he has to start him day 1? At some schools, that wouldn't necessarily be that way, but at Vanderbilt, in the NIL era, the transfer portal is always there. you know how much money, or there was a considerable amount of money that dumped in to get Jared Curtis. Diego Pavia did a lot to get him. Nate Bargatze, Theo Vaughn, like they pulled out all stops to get Jared Curtis. Can you afford to not play him immediately? And Clark Lee pushed back on that pretty quick. In fact, the way that I asked it to him was, I said, if this was the NFL and you drafted a guy, a top 5 pick as a quarterback, you wouldn't be allowed to just sit him. You would be expected to play him, whether he was the right guy or not. And Clark Lee said it's not the same. It's not the same because I'm here to win. And if Jared Curtis can win, then that's the guy we'll go with. But if not, then I'm comfortable waiting and sitting him. Well, we'll see if that comes to pass, though.
I'm looking at the over-under win totals. FanDuel Sportsbook has Tennessee at 7.5, Vanderbilt at 5.5. Which of these two teams, Adam, are you having a tougher time trying to kind of gauge expectations for in 2026?
I think it's harder maybe for Tennessee. Boy, that's a tough question because I had not seen those yet, but that's around where I would put them. I would go a little bit over with Tennessee because I'm probably going to pick them about 8-4, but I think 7.5 that's reasonable. Vanderbilt, historically, they would seem like a harder bet because they're coming off a 10-win year, but historically you think this is a team that's going to win 4 or 5 games, so that's a pretty big chasm. I think the tough thing is we're trying to, after the last couple of years, we're trying to figure out if Vanderbilt is now, perennially competitive, and so you can clock them in as 6 to 8 wins, which is they've won 7 and won 10 the last 2 years. Or are we saying, well, Diego Pavia is gone, so now all the expectations for Vanderbilt drop back down to 4, 5, 6 wins. I think that's a hard thing, but I think the thing we need to remember is it's not just like the Diego Pavia part of it that they won 17 games. NIL era has been around for 5 years. And Clark Lee's had really good teams 2 of those years, the past 2. And so there's as much of a case to say that they figured out how to win in this era as much as they figured out how to win with Diego Pavia. Tennessee's harder because you just don't know what's going to happen at quarterback. If you tell me quarterback pans out, they're going to be well over that 7.5. If you tell me quarterback doesn't pan out, they're probably going to be under it.
Pivoting back to some recruiting stuff, David Gabriel George signs or commits rather to Tennessee, 5-star running back out of Chattanooga. Baylor School picks Tennessee over Ohio State and Ole Miss. Based on how confident were you that this was going to be a thing? Obviously, there's no guarantees, but it seems like there was a growing sense of confidence for the last couple of weeks that Tennessee would be able to nab him. And how big a role did Adidas play in this?
Yeah, Adidas played a pretty big role because they've been very aggressive in helping pay for high school players, for recruits. Tennessee was with Nike before. Obviously, Nike puts a lot of money into player endorsements, but Nike leans more into proven players, multi-year proven players, and then of course NFL players. Nike does not lean that heavily into unproven high school players, recruits. Adidas has no trouble going to their schools and saying, if this is a 5-star, you want to get him, we can pay him. So that's good for Tennessee. It seemed like the last couple of weeks that he was going to Tennessee. We don't have the contract to know when it was officially signed or agreed in principle. But all the tea leaves started pointing that way. And that did not come out of Tennessee as much as it did Ohio State. I mean, that's the way that these things go now, especially in the NIL era, is that you find out a little more from the losing school in recruiting than you do from the winning school. The winning school feels good about it. They try to keep their mouth shut. Josh Heupel was beaming at SEC Media Days because I think he probably already knew. But you got more out of Ohio State that that the message was being put out among its, among maybe its podcast class that to start de-emphasizing the importance of DGG. I've seen the last, 48 hours, a lot of sort of the fringe media at Ohio State saying, Ohio State, they know he's a good player, but they weren't going to blow up, their whole culture just for one player. I understand that. That's just what the losing school in recruiting says.
Oh, I do.
And the winning school says, well, we outbid you and out-recruited you.
God, I do love that.
It was all about relationships for the winning school.
Yeah. Culture and relationships and family and it's these are all the same. You flip the schools and it's the same message that goes the other way.
I do love that part of it, though, Adam, especially because I know and listen, Tennessee has its own stereotype for fan behavior, but Ohio State is definitely one of the extremists out there as a fan following. I can't get enough of this.
I also think that recruiting, I never want to push back on recruiting because recruiting news is huge. To win a national championship, you got to have 5 stars. There's no doubt about that. But also, DGG looks like a phenomenal player. I think he'll be an all-SEC player when he gets to Tennessee. But there's a lot of talk of he's, Eric Dickerson, Herschel Walker, once-in-a-generation type player. He's also the number 2 ranked running back in this class. So, you can make whatever you want to. So I think Tennessee fans should be extremely excited. They went head-to-head with the school that gets running backs, and they got them. But it's okay to pump the brakes after that and say you got a player, focus on this year, and we'll wait and see how that works out next year.
But it is incredibly exciting, right, for Tennessee fans and the success they've had running the football under Heupel, despite not having one of these blue chippers at running back yet in the Heupel era, right? They've done it with the likes of Dylan Sampson, and last year it was Deshaun Bishop, players that coming out of high school weren't even close in terms of the ceiling that DGG projects to have. But it's so interesting, Adam. I find myself sitting here in July 2026 putting my Tennessee fan and alumni hat on and being more excited about the possibilities for 2027 before the 2026 season even starts. Are you getting anything similar from Tennessee fans?
Oh, sure. And it's interesting to see, how they will use him because, as you mentioned, if you took all the recruit ratings and averaged them out together, the guys that have had success for Josh Heupel at Tennessee have been like 3.5 stars. You mentioned them, Dylan Sampson, Deshaun Bishop, Jalen Wright. Those guys were 3, mid-3, high-3 stars. So no 5 stars in there. He had success running the ball at Missouri. He had success running the ball at UCF. They had a top 10 rushing offense there. Those were all 3-star backs. So when he was offensive coordinator at Oklahoma, they routinely had 5-star running backs. But he ran a different offense then. So I think it's going to be fun to see what Josh Heupel does with that. It's also going to be interesting to see how they tweak the offense again this year and then next year, because if it's Faison Brandon at quarterback, you can change the offense some there. TK Keys, another 5-star who will play this year, play even more next year. And so you'll have 5 stars at all the skill positions next year altogether. So you have a talent upgrade there, and then you have Josh Heupel, trying to figure out how to tweak the offense. 2 years ago, Josh Heupel had those wide splits where you tend to get a light box, and so you can run the ball in that way. If DGG is in fact a generational type running back, you're going to get more of a heavy box. Defense is staying in to defend the run a lot more. Did they go back to those wide splits because of that to try to balance that out? It'll be interesting. Josh Heupel's changed his offense a lot over the last 2 years. I suspect he'll probably change it again when DGG gets here.
Get some rest, buddy. Season's right ahead of us. We appreciate you as always. Great work this week.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
That's Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel. He's covering Tennessee and a little bit of Andy down there at SEC Media Days. How much has Adidas done already that Nike can't do for Tennessee?
I don't know about that Nike can't do, but that Nike wasn't willing to do. Like, apparently.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And
Nike won't do.
And Tyler points out, Nike did recently sign a deal with Jermaine Cobbins, who is a 16-year-old at Springfield High School. Really talented player. I got to see him one time last year on My TV 30, and I hope we get to see him again. So Nike is dipping into that well a little bit, but Adidas, no doubt, has been way ahead of the curve. I remember growing up, Adidas was doing this stuff with soccer players, like the Adidas generation contracts.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They have international experience doing this
exactly.
abroad.
And obviously soccer is a sport where, I mean, the bidding starts on players at an incredibly young age. So Adidas is no stranger to getting involved with teenagers when it comes to this stuff. But reportedly the offer, what Adidas had on the table, blew Nike out of the water. Like they didn't even make it a discussion for Tennessee football or Tennessee athletics.
Well, and Nike's also down significantly. Nike lost 36% in terms of their stock price in the first half of 2026. They've been taking a beating internationally. I haven't followed too closely why they have seen so much of their Chinese sales slump the way that they have, but Nike's not as big a cash cow. They're not going to throw money around, especially in the uncertainty of high school recruiting, the way that Adidas has been doing for years, to your point about international soccer. So if you're a Tennessee fan, you're seeing the dividends of that immediately in DGG. I saw that Baylor School tweeted a picture. Somebody, nobody tagged us in it, but for some reason it ended up on my algorithm. Somebody named Landon Raby, who's a Vols fan, tweeted a screenshot of Baylor School's Instagram. And apparently Baylor School is now an Adidas school.
Oh, there you go.
It's like all of their merchandising. I don't think it's AI. I don't think it's being used to bait Ohio State fans who are in the comments and furious about it. I enjoy that so much.
I do think Tennessee.
I also enjoyed taking the number one wide receiver recruit in the country away from Ohio State. I enjoyed that very much as well.
Is that what Indiana did?
Yeah.
Okay, Ohio State catching some L's. The conversation between Tennessee and Ohio State fans has gotten a little toxic, as expected. But if you're a Tennessee fan, enjoy this. Tennessee ponied up more. Ohio State got to the point where they're offering DGG's roommate that had no power conference offers. And so it is a credit to Tennessee for not feeling like they had to go down to that level, right? And start offering all his buddies. No, we feel good about our pitch and what's on the table. Did you read his statement? It was incredibly long. David Gabriel George. He put out.
I read a part of it.
There's a big part.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't read the statement. I read some of the quotes he gave to CBS Sports.
So he gives glory to God for guiding him through this journey and expressing his gratitude to friends, coaches, mentors as he makes this decision. And then in the middle part of his statement, he writes, this is on his Twitter account, I also feel it is important to address something. What should have been one of the most meaningful and joyful moments of my life has at times been overshadowed by negative media coverage, false narratives, and unfair assumptions about both my character and my family. I understand the passion, excitement, and pride that college football inspires, and I have great respect for every fan base and every program involved in this process. However, any form of harassment and the spread of misinformation is simply unnecessary and uncalled for. He says this decision was mine and made through careful thought, prayer, and countless conversations with those I trust most. I respectfully ask that my decision be honored and that people refrain from making assumptions or spreading false information. And then he goes on to say, I remain focused on the upcoming school year football season and thanking everyone that has stood by him, and ends with the Go Vols.
Well, yeah, that reads like a statement of somebody who's been caught between Tennessee and Ohio State on the internet.
Quit tweeting at
me. Stop. And you should stop doing that. He is correct. The fact that how old is he? He's 18, 17.
Oh, I mean, he's going into a senior year of high school.
So let's assume he's 17. That the 17-year-old has more maturity than some of you out there on the internet. Pretty telling.
He does look more mature than any of the three of us combined.
Well, that's also just, we're not the most physically impressive human beings in the world.
I think there does need to be a level of maturity, though, that comes with what he has done. Move from another country to a place far away that doesn't speak the language he grew up speaking, a boarding school where his life is just school and football. So rightfully, Tennessee fans, for once in the Heupel era, get to dance at Ohio State's grave a little bit.
Well, if you can't beat them on the field, beat them off the field. And then beat them on the field. Last call for phone calls. If you got them, 615-737-1045. The number. Training camps have started around the NFL, and we already have what seems to be a season-ending injury for one team. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the superior chicken, the only chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. 615-737-1045, the number, last call for phone calls. So it's the Panthers and the Cardinals, as we talked about. They reported yesterday they're already on the field today. Lucas, Nick Scourton, who's our second-year outside linebacker, left practice on a cart already with a right knee injury. About 2 hours ago this happened on the first day of training camp. He's a really solid player, ascending player for sure out of Texas A&M, and on a defense that's probably going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting for an offense that's still trying to figure it out in Carolina. That the cruel part of football season is you wait so long. I mean, it really doesn't feel like that long this year. Maybe it's because of the World Cup, but you wait for a period of months between football season and training camp. You're very excited. There's nobody, if you're a fan, nobody should sit there and tell you how bad your team is going to be before your team plays a game. And I acknowledge that I do this a lot. But to have the gut punch of, like, somebody who's going to have to play a lot of snaps for us, a young, ascending, talented player that we were going to, try and start to build around or continue to build around to support our playoff football team from last year, already done. We don't know the significance or the severity of the injury. The fact that it's being described as a knee injury and he's being carted off the field. We hope for good news. The news is likely not good.
Didn't this happen to them, Robert, with Derek Brown? Like right at the start of the season.
He's a stud
2 years
defensive
ago.
tackle.
Yeah, before 2024.
Yeah.
He just goes down, done for the year, knee injury, something like that. Yet again, another marquee defensive player for the Panthers, done before it starts.
Well, and they're already, we talked about it yesterday, how hamstrung they are on the offensive line with Taylor Moton finding out he has blood clots. They expect he should play at the beginning of the season sometime, but their left tackle, Ike Ekwonu, who tore his ACL or Achilles last year, he's not expected to be back until later. J.C. Horn, who is expected to be back sooner rather than later, but he's still missing valuable training camp time with I believe it was a laceration on his foot that required stitches. The stitches are coming out in the coming weeks, but they expect he will be back. This is just the name of the game, though. Like we're going to start getting these as training camp gets back in full swing.
It's going to happen to everybody at some point, but just like day one is so tough.
I think that update came out at like 10:15. Like that had to
They
be,
couldn't have been on the practice field for more than 30 minutes.
like literally just got done with stretches and went to individual, and the dude pops a ACL or something. And as soon as you see they're crying, man, you just got to hate it for them. Like all that ass busting you did in the offseason to get ready for it.
I can't imagine what that must feel like. I mean, just so brutal.
Well, the two of you brought it up when you first saw the news, the idea of like when you see the giant rage monster in a heap of himself crying.
Yeah, it's like, it's probably done.
Done for the season.
For the season.
Yeah. And which, again, it's these guys' entire lives. This is what they prepare for all year. And so
Day one,
wishing
man.
the best for Nick Scout. It sounds like snap one. I mean, it sounds like the very, very onset of practice.
So tough. Mendoza has signed his rookie deal.
What are the Raiders doing? McCoy just signed very, very late. Mendoza just signed his deal today.
4 years, $57.27 million, fully guaranteed.
I need to learn at some point in my NFL reporting career what the hell offset language is in an NFL contract, because it derailed Corey Davis's contract. It felt like for weeks, months when he was here as a rookie.
I feel like both of those situations are unique in and of itself, though. Mendoza is the number one overall pick, and it gives him a little more leverage for, like you said, offset language or bonuses or how the money is dispersed. And then Jermon McCoy.
Yeah, are you Trevor Lawrence getting paid out half your contract in Bitcoin?
Right.
That was not smart.
It was not smart now. I mean, if he cashed out at some point before the fall, yes. But, I mean, it's still – either way, I'm not going to bore you with crypto talk. But, and on McCoy's half – like how much is guaranteed? How much is guaranteed against injury? Because their draft slot, their slot is how much they are making money off of. But it's how they are being paid that money. How much up front did he get? How much? And I mean, it's not a second round contract. Like second rounders are I believe it's through the 15th pick in the second round are fully guaranteed contracts now, which will continue to grow every single year. But both of those are interesting cases. I'm not surprised they took a little longer to get done.
Ty Simpson is the only first-round pick that has not signed.
Interesting. I bet I don't know who his agency is, but I bet they think they have some leverage in a Stafford situation because Stafford's 37 years old, coming off a year with a bad back. You're probably fighting for a little extra juice in your contract than your average first-round pick at quarterback might get, given that he doesn't have to start. So worth paying attention to there. As far as somebody said in the chat, one commenter says, I don't think we can give enough gratitude for the World Cup shortening our summer doldrums, of which I 1,000% agree. The World Cup did us a tremendous service for 5 weeks, and we are grateful for that. Same commenter says, got to check on Carolina's seed oil and electromagnetic field situation.
Well, we do have maybe take the call, and then we can expand upon that conversation.
Okay. Ryan is in Hendersonville.
Hey, guys, I just said to Robert, I wonder if the Panthers' preseason injury woes continue because David Tepper pulled out of that beautiful practice facility they were supposed to have in Rock Hill, South Carolina that was halfway built, and then he took control and squashed it. So maybe it's bad juju.
Well, I mean, obviously injury luck is injury luck, and so you try not to get too much involved. I hope that David Tepper's actions have nothing to do with the health and safety of his football team. But, I mean, did you hear anything about that story? Because a buddy of mine that lives in Charlotte has hated Tepper for this for years.
Huh.
Yeah, he not the most likable owner. Like, if you'll remember,
famously
throwing drinks on fans,
Jags fans.
accosting the owner of a restaurant who changed his sign outside to say Tepper sell the team.
Yeah.
He stopped in and was like, "How about you try to do this?"
In his Panthers
Is that what he
hat.
said to the guy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got lippy with him. But
He's been quiet recently.
the injury kind of covers up the big news out of Carolina today. We saw yesterday the Kansas City Chiefs renderings for their new stadium. The Carolina Panthers also launched their renderings today. And you got to imagine that this is clouding that the good news just a little bit for them. It includes new fan gathering areas, new 4,400-seat concert venue, and a Bank of America naming rights extension. David Tepper is privately investing $650 million and will cover all overages and ongoing maintenance.
That's less than Amy. Amy liquidated $700 million, or the family did.
Yeah, for the stadium.
They look good, though, and I think the concert venue will help quell a lot of people's issues with what is going on because David Tepper, like anyone else that owns a stadium, wants it to be a year-round cash cow. And when they would have concerts out there, it would kind of mess the ground up. It would be just a tough situation for the grounds crew.
Because the renderings, no roof.
Correct.
Kansas City has a roof. Or Kansas City, Kansas will have a roof.
It's
literally just Arrowhead with a roof.
Charlotte's in a little different situation. Very rarely are they ever like heavily impacted by snow. Yeah. Heavily impacted by, I mean, if you'll remember the hurricane that came through and kind of messed up the area between Tennessee and North Carolina, that's the biggest disaster they've had in quite some time. So I don't think it necessitated having a roof, but it's nice to have. Like if you have the retractable or whatever, but how much extra millies does that throw on top of it?
I don't remember when we were talking about the cost of a retractable roof here versus a stationary roof. Obviously, they went with the lesser option, which is the stationary roof, translucent roof.
So for total money, David Tepper is investing $650 million. The city of Charlotte and David Tepper together are spending about $1.3 billion. So they're going essentially halfsies on this.
Yeah, I think Amy got $500 million bonds from the state. I don't remember what Nashville's contribution. It can't just have been the hotel motel tax and a number of different things, right? I think there had to have been a monetary.
A lot of money comes out of that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I think Charlotte is trying to do something similar to that because they're the fastest growing city in North Carolina. I believe they're a top 25 market at this point. Like they are steadily cruising.
It's been Charlotte and Nashville for the last couple of years as far as rate of growth. For tax situations, for corporate interest situations. We obviously have a lot of corporations moving here. Anyway, anything else we didn't get to today? We covered soccer, did a little NFL, did a little college football. Last day of SEC Media Days. Do you feel fully prepared? Do you feel fully preview magazined out?
I feel like it's on the horizon. That's the thing about Media Days, though. It is quite the tease because we still have over a month before SEC football. But unofficially, we are back in the mindset.
Very good. That will do it for us this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day. You can hang around, of course, for Blaine and Zach and the final day of 3HL from Tampa. See you later.